Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Death Curios Season 2. It's good to see some returning faces here and seeing people in the chat. That's always good. And yeah, here we go for Season 2. So we're going to go around the players in just a moment. I'll be introducing our wonderful cast. They'll be letting you know who they're playing, what characters they are today, and also a little bit about themselves for those of you joining for the first time today who haven't seen the previous season of Death Curios. For those of you who are coming here for the first time and for this fresh new season, don't worry, you'll be able to jump right in. We're starting with a fresh part of the case, which you can easily get invested in. And just so you know, this is a post-apocalyptic Victorian horror RPG, which is a bit of a mouthful, but trust me, it's an absolute blast. So we're going to go over to the players in just a second, and we'll get to meeting them. So, hello everybody. Here are all of our wonderful cast and all of their wonderful costumes, and we'll go around and introduce everybody. So we'll start with just over to this old side here with Dr. Varukht. Welcome back, Greybeard.
Hey, Greybeard at Greybeard's Tavern, and I'm Dr. Varukht, and highlights from last season, he lost an arm and regained the arm as a Christmas gift from his benefactor's amazing wife, played by Laurie Lark, and so now I've got the robotic hand.
You certainly do. And no, Dr. Varukht was a joy last season, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the Doctor's going to go this time around. And so moving down to our ace detective, Tilly Griffiths.
Hello, I'm Humbledore. I'll be playing Tilly Griffiths, the detective. Last season, she ran ahead quite a lot, put herself in a lot of danger, and made some excellent new friends, she thinks, and has the weight of the world currently on her shoulders as the case is intense. The last case was intense, and this case is going to be probably even more so.
Indeed it is. And speaking of intense, Magdalena DeVille, our Dampier vampire hunter.
Hello, it's me. I probably could have updated my name this season, but I forgot. Yes, I am Magdalena Dracul, daughter of Dracula, half-daughter of Dracula. I'm only a half vampire, so a Dampier. And Magdalena's hobbies are painting, long walks at night to secure victims, and killing people. I think those are some of her hobbies, but mostly by eating them. She gets very hungry sometimes and just doesn't have a lot of moral restraint in these kinds of things. So, and she has a chicken boy. His name is Cooper, and she does not feel attached to him at all.
I mean, not at all is a strong way of putting it, but we'll go around and we'll go to the lovely Delilah Berkeley, our aristocrat.
Yes, so I will be playing Delilah Berkeley, a American singer with a quite complicated past who somehow appeared in England as Lord Berkeley's wife, Earl Berkeley. He disappeared for most of the previous season, but now he's back, so thank God. No one's going to hang me, I think, for now. She loves to sing and tries her best to get away from her very complicated past, which managed to accompany her in the form of a ghost in the mirror which haunts her, and a very obsessive ex-boyfriend, I guess, mobster, whom she's trying now to get out of her house. It's kind of like
good old Mickey.
Yeah, she's trying to kick him out. I think hopefully she'll succeed by now.
Okay, and speaking of possible success, Miss Fairchild.
Hello, I am Shakespeare, and I am playing Miss Fairchild, the mourner with a secret in that she has a young son, Havelock, who survived. Thank God. And she is devoted to her craft and food. She likes to eat, mostly, actual food. Occasionally, the faces of people. That was the thing that happened. But she's a very stern, very proper person when she's not stuffing her face with cake.
gotta find the mute button again. Yep. I mean, first session running about and doing tech stuff, so my bad. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing what you're gonna do and how much you will devour this time around in this campaign. Hopefully not a party member, as was a problem before, possibly. So speaking of, we're gonna get right into a recap immediately after we quickly go to a quick message about our sponsors for today. So we're gonna go to that in just a moment, just wrestling a few little bits here, and then straight after that we will go into it. So here we go. I'm going to fire you over to that.
Before we begin today's show, I would like to take some time to remind you about our sponsors. Fantasy Grounds, our virtual tabletop of choice. All of the beautiful maps and roles you see tonight are done using Fantasy Grounds, which you can try for free at fantasygrounds.com. You can also get all of your miniatures from Wayland Games. Go to waylandgames.co.uk and get yourself a huge range of D&D, Warhammer and 40k minis for up to 20% off regular retail price. And Tabletop Loot, who sell incredible dice. Go and check them out at tabletoploot.com.
Where are they?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the session. So we're going to get started in just a moment. Before then, I'm going to give you a very quick recap of where we were last season. So at the end of last season, all of our lovely detectives here were told to find 3 artifacts, one of which they discovered by the end of the season. The Mask of the Tortured Heart, a mask that allowed people to see into the deepest, darkest desires of those it looked upon and convince them to partake in them. The party dealt with it after a rather dangerous auction, and since then spent a lovely Christmas in which they managed to finally get back Delilah Berkeley's husband. After this, the rest of you have spent around a week, just until the day before New Year's Eve. It's been a quiet time. The city has been very sleepy, and all of you have been feeling a strange quietness to the entire place. No crime has hardly been committed. It's a very sleepy time, a very quiet time, and no word on any of the other artifacts has come forward either. And where would we find Dr. Varukt after his week off? What would he have been doing in that week that he'd had after Christmas, up until the new year?
That would have been him adjusting and getting used to the new arm and the new hand. Probably studying it because it was advanced technology even to him. Because again, his patron is the one who designed and created it. So the Lord Berkeley that we saved from the mirror, as a matter of fact. I think that would probably be his week, other than his complete obsession with his own scientific work.
Brilliant stuff. And a lot of that would have been continuing on. And what were you mainly researching into in this week? What was your focus, Doctor?
I had just gotten like a Prometheus chamber, so I would imagine my work has turned in that direction if it wasn't before, in my secret lab and secret mortuary that has thousands of pictures of brains in it.
Oh, lovely, lovely. So you'd have been staring at these pictures of brains for your week and researching how you could possibly use the artificial womb that you managed to purchase, this way in which you could possibly create life from nothing. An exciting prospect, one that's very advanced, however, and will take much research.
And maybe grow myself a real arm back someday.
Perhaps. And we'll go over to the other side now, as we'll go to Miss Fairchild. What have you been doing for your week since Christmas?
Miss Fairchild likely would have taken a commission of work, and so has probably spent most of the week sat in vigil, not sleeping, and occasionally sneaking food from under her skirts, because you're not supposed to eat during these things, but yeah. And basically sitting vigil over someone's dearly departed, and basically trying to build up her business connections again. while trying not to let anyone see her eat when she's at these business connections, because it's not a pretty sight, and generally just keeping herself busy and keeping her ears open for any hint of the contracted work that she's supposed to be devoted to. It's like, want to get that over.
Well, regardless of your contracted work, not much has come as of clues or even any sort of stirrings in the city for that so far. But the rest of your work goes well. You've been having a few post-Christmas funerals to deal with. Not the best affairs. You've been dealing with parts of your business. It's been quiet, too quiet, perhaps. Especially in the wake of what happened before in the auction and the attacks in London. Far too much is quiet right now. And speaking of less quiet, Delilah Berkeley, what have you been up to since you've regained your husband? In a polite
things
manner,
that would
of
not
course.
be polite. Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of things would not be good for saying. So things that happen without polite company. And other than that, the question. Speaking of not polite company, so within this week, you do know that for Christmas she gave some tickets to Miss Tilly Griffiths. There's a dress that goes with said tickets, and there is an entire makeup. Should she comply? Or
We'll get
should
to
she
that.
not comply? It doesn't matter.
We'll get around to that part.
Other than that, she's been, enjoying her time with her husband and her son, and it's been a good time. And she's been kind of gearing up to finally having a talk with him. Very important.
Very interesting. Well, we'll definitely see how that important talk goes. And speaking of important talks, Tilly Griffiths.
Hello.
What have you been up to in the last week?
So she would have had a number of things that she would have liked to have accomplished. She would have taken a short trip to Lower London.
Okay.
In the wake of the gang violence that had been going on, she would have made an anonymous donation to the Whitechapel of £50 to help clean up the Lower London streets. She would have spent time trying to understand Gabriel, her corgi that she received for Christmas. What his deal is, I guess. How would he fit in with her life? And she would have
What is your deal, dog?
What is your deal, Gabriel? She would have visited Miss Delilah, not to intrude on her privacy with her husband, but to access her libraries and do a little bit of research on the occult. She has a few things that she'd like to look into.
Of course. And very exciting things. And so, speaking of occult, Magdalena, what have you been up to last but not least in this 1 week since good old Christmas?
Now that Papa is back, I have been painting a portrait of him for when he is ruler of New Transylvania, the country formerly known as England. And, just getting that portrait ready for when it happens, that way I can enjoy the takeover and not have to, because, the portrait's one of the most important things. You got to have those as soon as you become ruler of a place. So,
Of course.
I think she's working on that. Yeah. She's also probably visited Archibald, her boo, her main squeeze, her man, her lover, and she'd probably also visit Ricky for a snack because that mirror stuff was kind of weird and she got hungry. So he's a big old juice box full of blood. So
okay, no problem. And given that you visited Ricky in that time, could you please give me a very quick willpower check, please? Let's see if you ate Ricky.
Oh, I get to add my concentration to this, right? Though, because
You do, yes.
Okay, good. That is very good. All right.
Let's see what you get.
19.
On a 19, you did make a visit to Ricky, and you were tempted. You were stressed at the time. The mirror world business was very much a pain to you, but you didn't drain him dry. You took perhaps a little bit too much, but they passed out and it was fine.
Yeah,
You made sure they had a good breakfast in the morning, and they'll be right as
Get
rain.
over it.
What do you need, blood, human?
You'll make more. It's fine. it's like gardening. You just give them a
totally.
little sunshine, some food, they grow more.
But regardless of your budding human garden that you seem to
Actually,
be
I totally
cultivating.
knows how gardening works.
Totally. Aside from that, however, things have gone quiet. Archibald did see you. He seems to have not too much going on. However, he did mention that he does have some business out of town to do, and that he'd be back in a while, but he's going to be away for a short time. He didn't tell you why, or insinuate why. He didn't give you any details, in fact, but he just left one day. It's only been about 3 days since then. But
well, then I would have spent that first day brooding, because that would have upset me.
course.
So,
How very
yeah.
vampiric of you.
A full day of brooding.
Brilliant. And it's after you've had your days of brooding, and after the rest of you have had your very quiet week, that, Magdala, you
Yes.
hear a knocking on your door.
Who could it be? And is it daytime?
It is. It is daytime at the
Alright, well,
moment.
that
It is
means
bright
Irene's
outside, and by bright
probably
I mean a
sleeping,
lighter grey than
so-
normal.
Yeah, it means Irene's probably sleeping, so I'll go get the door. Because I've told Cooper not to answer the door, not because I'm
certainly
concerned
have.
about him in stranger danger or assassins or anything, but, because he's like 12 or something. I don't know. He's young.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, you go to the door. The floorboard's not creaking as you go, as usual. Your light
Mhm.
footsteps taking you there, and it's a light knock. Do you open it?
I take a little peek through the side curtain first.
You take a peek, and you see what looks to be a striped jacket and some mismatched trousers, some black trousers, and boots with a simple hat on the head. And you recognize the form immediately as Detective
Oh.
Arthur Murray.
Ugh. I close the curtain. I get my scowl just out of my system. Ugh. Then I'll open the door and be like, "Hello, detective."
Yes, good morning. So there's been a few things happening around town. Yes, it's morning.
Yes.
Well, it's lighter grey out, which is usually morning. It's usually just shades of grey, but it is. But yes, good morning, Lady Magdalena.
Yes, I've counted the shades of grey ones. Been here. I am painter. I think there are about 50.
Right. Okay.
Mm.
I wouldn't know. I'm not really a painter. Nor
Yes,
am I a
can
grey
tell.
shape.
And I look at his
Officially
mismatched outfit.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
very mismatched. He looks very tired as well. You see there are bags under his eyes, and his hair is a bit skewiff. His sort of light brown hair a bit messy. As he
You
kind
look
of looks at-
unwell.
No, I'm fine. I just been having some of that, some of the strange sort of coffee, I think they call it, bean juice. Keeps you going. Keeps you rearing.
Sure.
Anyway, point is, I wanted to come and find you because there's been a couple of things that I thought your lot could look into. At least last time you seemed to be in the right places at the right times, or the wrong places at the right times, as it may be.
Very unfortunate happenstances, I am sure. But
Indeed.
I guess I was just person closest to your side of town. How lovely.
Well, it seems most of the time that you're the one who's closest to also the danger or the passed out people in the streets or many other things, Miss Magdalena.
It's because I do not live in Upper City. It's fine.
Of course. But, point is,
Yes, what things? You keep saying there are things.
could you gather your
Don't tell me
friends?
things.
I know you're
Where?
close, so it should be easy, right?
Yes, sure.
He looks
Where
over
do you
you a little
want
more
them to
unsure now. Well, if you could, if you get him to come to the police station, Upper
The
London,
police station in Upper London. Yes, that is not at all inconvenient for me.
preferably Scotland Yard, if that's fine. About 2 o'clock today.
What time is it now? And I kind of go
It's
check
7
to
o'clock
see
in the morning.
grandfather clock. Oh, that is some time away.
Dave,
Fine.
I thought that'd be good enough
Scotland
time for you
Yard?
to... Scotland Yard,
Mm.
yes, you'll find it. he says, and sort of tips his hat to you. Anyway, I've got to go going. I've got a few other things to deal with this morning.
Yes.
Before we have our
maybe
meeting.
get some sleep because you do not look.
No time for sleep. Crime doesn't sleep, he says, and turns away and leaves. You see him slip over slightly as he walks over a plant pot that's sort of dead and leaning
And I
on the
kind of
ground.
like tilt my head and I'm like, would anyone miss him if we didn't have this meeting at 2 o'clock? And then I go, no. And I close the door. I don't eat him. And I scowl because I wasn't quite through with my days of brooding, but I guess I'll have to postpone them till later.
And as you brood and your own infectious personality and the power of your brooding just kind of increases around you, we've just hit 20 retweets, so we'll have a wild magic surge.
Woohoo!
So, Magdalena.
Oh boy, okay.
Let's quickly have you roll us a quick D10,000, please.
Let's see. 9067. No, that's not a good number.
10,000 even. Nope, 10,000. What am I talking about? I have a time, okay? Let's have a look at what happens.
Oh, that's great.
909. Let's have a look at what this is and see if we can make this work. So 9067 will be.
It's so fitting.
Is it now? Is it now?
It is. It really is.
Do you want to read it out for people?
I will. Everyone within 50 yards is suddenly exhausted. My infectious brooding, so it would seem.
So as you brood, you see a lot of people walking around outside, and they all seem to be incredibly tired. You see sort of people leaning against their carriages, snoring. You see a mail delivery person suddenly they're about to deliver your mail, and instead they just sort of go to the edge of your fence and just curl up and start sleeping. You see Arthur, however, doesn't seem to tire as he continues onwards with his journey. But
I'm like, is
a lot
everyone
of people
eating this
here
too?
seem to be sleeping, tired, exhausted.
Well,
even
if they're
you.
all sleeping. Yes, well, it's brooding is hard work.
It is,
So-
yes. You're feeling incredibly exhausted by your brooding.
In that case, then I guess I'll postpone the brooding till later, and I'll just take a snack on my way out, since they're sleeping already. Hey, mailman. Looking like a
You
snack.
go over to the mailman who continues to snore as you have a light snack. Nobody's seeing you as everybody is seemingly asleep. The only one who isn't is Arthur, who continues to walk off into the distance. And as he sort of passes people, they all seem to pass out.
Yep. And then I feel rejuvenated from my snack, and I will go to get everybody together. I think I'll go to Dr. Baruch first.
So, yeah, by all means. So, Dr. Verrucht, it's the morning. You're awake enough. Though suddenly, you begin to get more tired. You feel exhausted. And only as the seconds pass do you feel more and more tired as this lethargic feeling sets into your very bones. You feel about 10 years older. And it hits its apex as Magdalena, you reach his front door.
How about to bring me coffee?
You don't hear any reply from downstairs.
And I start lumping towards downstairs.
And Magdalena, from the outside, you do hear the thump, thump, thump of footsteps coming downstairs from inside.
Did I hear the bell ring or anything?
You did. The knocker has been knocked.
Hannah, Herbert, Lacey.
You see them all asleep. They seem to be midway through their tasks. You see Lacey is sort of sweeping and is now leaning against her broom and is just sleepily dozing off. You see Herbert is just a face in porridge, asleep.
Okay.
Nicely warmed by it.
Wing open the door. Oh, can't hear you.
My cat shifted inside of my mouse and clicked the mute button. She's like, "Hello, doctor."
Yes. What can I do for you?
My brooding was rudely interrupted by that detective person we met during the auction, and he wants to have us come to meeting with him at Scotland Yard, and he came to my house for some reason. I do not know why everyone come to my house to get everyone together. Like, it's my responsibility, but he did, so.
Come in.
Thank you, and I'll step over the threshold.
And as you see Magdalena begin to step over the threshold, in the distance, you see a carriage that's running down the street, and you see it suddenly veer off as the driver seems to fall asleep. They crash into a nearby shop, but seemingly nobody notices.
Domkov. Does it look like people are seriously injured?
It looks like, luckily enough, nobody was hit. Nobody that you can see.
Send one moment, I will get my equipment and we may go. And he gets...
Is this your lab? And I just, like, now that I've been invited in, I'm just gonna, like, walk around his house.
Sure, he'll take you back, and then it's got the whole secret door thing going on. And it's like a battleship door. It's like 6 inches thick, and cranks it open and lets you in. And there on the table are people opened up in different stages of autopsy and whatnot. The Promethean tank is there, and then there is a table that's laid out with all the doctor's stuff, and so you see him. He gets on his double shoulder harness with a gun and a stake, reinforced stake, and flashlight.
You cannot do that. No, I gesture to the stake.
And this is not for you. This is for those who would are not you. And then he puts his greatcoat on and begins to button it. And again, he seems to be functioning with a weird rubberized hand. And then he puts 2 satchels on, also that were laid out meticulously. Also, too, you notice the entire place is spotless. There's like where people would have been opened up. If there was like a drop of blood, it's been wiped away. So
I'm just gonna stick my finger in one of the cadavers. Kind of. Do you need more of these?
Bodies or large intestines?
No, bodies. People.
Bodies are always appreciated.
Okay.
And as you think about that, as you say, okay, and your conversation begins to take a darker turn, we'll go over to Miss Tilly
wants them
Griffiths.
brought in? No.
Tilly Griffiths, you were invited this morning to go and play chess with Lord Bartholomew Marriott. It is a day when you were supposed to go and have breakfast with them before being told that you should visit the Berkeley estate afterwards. Given the next door, it's only polite to.
Yeah.
The young lord wanted you to meet them at the crack of dawn at about 6 a.m.
Yeah, she'll put down the book that she's been reading, or she'll probably more likely take it off of her face, as she probably would have fallen asleep reading.
You did, and your small dog is kind of asleep next to you, seemingly knowing that you're safe in. But upon hearing you wake and sort of peel your face away from the book that it's entrapped in, that peeling of paper off of your flesh seems to wake up the small dog as it suddenly looks up at you and starts yapping quite loudly.
Shush! No, it's time for quiet time. It's very early.
Have you got animal handling?
No, I don't know that was a skill. I looked.
Have you got anything to do with nature?
I have forensic science.
That isn't to do with nature, unfortunately. So could you just give me a straight 2d10 roll, then, please?
That's fine. No, I can interrogate my own dog if you like. Just 2d10. There we go. Let's put those in. There we are. Okay, a 12.
Okay. On a 12, it isn't going well. They don't stop yapping. It's friendly, but they seem to be very loud.
Why are you so loud? Okay, breakfast. Yes, breakfast.
Yips at
Breakfast for
you yet
you.
again, and the small little corgi kind of sprints off on its little stubby legs at not very impressive speed as it makes its way towards its bowl, seemingly eager to be fed before you go out.
All right, will you sit? You sit.
It does so.
You're a good boy, Gabriel. And she'll give him a little treat, and then she'll fill up his food bowl.
And you fill up the food bowl, the dog eats, and after it's finished eating, before you set off, after you've gotten yourself ready, it does take a little walk around and bring itself and you its lead.
Well, I suppose I can leave you in the garden if they're not happy, but you have to put on your respirator, so don't fight me, all right?
And could you give me another 2d10 check as you try and wrestle on the respirator onto the young puppy?
Okay. A 13.
You manage, luckily. The dog has some self-preservation and doesn't understand that the air outside isn't good for it. And you do manage to weasel on the small dog respirator.
Put in a
before you
little
go
bit of
out.
beef jerky just in the tip of it, so he wants to put his face in it, and I'll just be like,
That does it, but you do hear a strange echoing licking of leather and beef jerky underneath the mask the entire walk.
that's rather
It's a
disconcerting.
very loud noise.
Right. I think we're all ready to go. Excellent. Okay. She'll take a walk.
And you walk. It's not too long. About a 20-minute walk. And you make your way towards the manor next to the Berkeley estate, that of the Marriott family and the young lord. And you're let in. One of the servants stood outside the gate waiting for you and lets you in immediately, taking you through where you are led to the lord's parlor. You find him sat with a chessboard already set up, some very nice, what looks to be very precious-looking chess set, made very extravagantly in a beautiful large board, and each piece is intricately carved. And they have it already set up for you. And they already are sitting behind one of the sides as they have taken on the black side of the chessboard. And they sit and wait patiently. Tea already served, and with some small little tea cakes on the side.
As soon as I see the tea cakes, I look at Gabriel and just hold the leash a little tighter. Good morning, Lord Marriott.
Good morning, says the young lord and gestures. Please sit. The board is already set. I do not wish to keep you for too long today.
I can sit. See, in regards to my dog, do you want them outside, or are you okay with them wandering?
No, I have servants to clean that. It's fine.
All right, Gabriel, be good. I'll
Dog
tentatively let
stays
them
quiet.
I'll let them off the lead.
They run around, they kind of bolt about the place a bit, sniff some things, poke some things, but nothing is harmed. The study is pretty well secured. So,
Right, yes.
shall we begin?
Yes, we shall.
Very good. And could you give me a very quick intelligence check, please?
Sure. I
That
can.
is 2d10 plus your attribute.
Yes. Plus 3. It's a 14.
Okay, and on a 14, the Lord will give a go against you. So let's have a look at this. Da, 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 da. Now, the young Lord is very practiced in the game of chess. And will give it a quick go. So 2d10s plus his attribute. However, you do outwit him. You manage to outplay him. You manage to outmaneuver him, and you manage to see where he's going with things. You play for a while, a couple of games. A few are close. However, you do win the majority of them. You win 2 matches. He wins 1. It's quite a fun match, however. He seems to be a very smart boy, and he seems to be very much adept with tactics, you could say.
Well,
I must say I wasn't expecting defeat today, Miss Griffiths, but
I
it's a
can take
welcome
it
thing.
easy on you next time if you like.
Oh, no, I don't need that.
No, I didn't think you would.
No. I'll play you properly next time.
Oh, you took it easy on me.
Of course I did.
Right.
You're a guest in my household. I wouldn't want to thrash you too hard.
Lord Marriott, if you want to thrash me at chess, please feel free.
He smiles at you. The young boy's sort of very amused with this, however, just goes, regardless, I hope you have a good day, whatever it is you're getting up to.
Well, I've been instructed to go to Miss Berkeley's house, so...
Oh, well, lucky for you, that's only next door, but yes, they've been much more happy, it seems, since they've had the Lord return off of whatever business trip it was he was on.
Yes, well, I've only visited her as much as polite, but yes,
Of course.
she is in better spirits. It's quite nice
But
to see.
I imagine she's always happy to see you. You are her friend, after all. And despite that, her husband is rather busy most of the time. An inventor, isn't he?
Yes. Yes.
I've only met them once, so I couldn't say much about them, but send my
Well,
best wishes.
Perhaps maybe afternoon tea at some point. You can,
Perhaps.
bright young minds get together.
I'll see. He nods. But I have my education to look after, and I have my estate to put in order. Things have been
That's-
different since Halloween.
Yes.
Things are much more urgent to take the place I should be in. And it seems there's a few other developments as well, so everything seems to be going forward rather well, but quickly.
Is there anything I can help you with?
No, nothing bad. The Dan Meyer Estate is under quite the drama right now. There's a lot happening with it. It seems the Lady Dan Meyer has returned from her expedition, and there's a stir of many things and rumors going around there. It's boring, noble things, don't mind. But it means I'm rather busy.
Well, if you're ever free to play chess again and get thrashed, you know where to find me. All right?
Yes, if I ever wish to play an easy game, I'll make sure to find you.
She shakes her head and she leashes up Gabriel again.
You do. And the dog is very well behaved when in the house of a noble, it seems.
You behave for him. Might leave you here, shall I? And she'll give him a little treat. And then she'll curtsy to Lord Marriott and go next
He
door.
nods towards you, and you make your way out. You're taken out by the servants. You're led out into the streets again, and you make your way around to Delilah Berkeley's, where you see that her servants are waiting as well, expecting you, and let you in. But there's a couple of other people who've arrived as well. And
Who are these?
speaking of, the other two arriving are Dr. Verrucht and Magdalena, after whatever it is they were doing back at the office. But Miss Fairchild, you also have been invited for breakfast. The allure of food, of course, is a strong one. A big breakfast,
Yep.
it seems.
And after having my own breakfast, I will definitely attend.
So you have your first breakfast and head out for your second breakfast. You get that from a local bakery and then make your way out towards your third breakfast as you make your way towards the Berkeley estate. Within a short time, you make your way there, and you do see the rest of your friends, you could call them, all arriving as well at the gate. Though you weren't expecting Dr. Verrucht or Magdalena for breakfast, you knew that it was yourself, Miss Tilly Griffiths, and of course, Delilah Berkeley. But you don't remember Magdalena and Verrucht being invited. They seem to be busy. But they're here. A surprise, but welcome, possibly.
Good
I
morning.
kind of- Good morning. I wasn't aware this was an event.
Gabriel, what is that noise? You a dog or a cat? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Seems we're all back together again. It's rather nice.
Yes.
Miss Fairchild, you've done something with your hair.
Yes.
It looks lovely. Suits you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just
Shall
very
we?
confused. Oh, by all
Yeah.
means, after you.
Dr. Verrucht leans over to Magdalena. How did they know to meet us here?
I don't know. Perhaps I was not only one visited. Perhaps he did not like that. It was very, brusque this morning with him. Perhaps he thought I was not best person. He should ask someone else, which is smart of him. He should have, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Detectives, they talk too much sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes they know too much, and I kind of glimpse over at Telly and her crazy deductive reasoning.
Yeah, and you all hear this. They're not exactly subtle, being stood out in the open talking about the both of you.
You know, I find
It
that
doesn't take an
rather
ace detective to hear them.
Mr. Vill. Thank you.
It was just a statement.
A rather
Miss
flattering
Fairchild
one.
Is
To a
going to
detective.
straighten up from where she's like sneaking bacon to Gabriel. Because I have animal empathy. They like me. And it's just going to be like, were you not invited to breakfast then? Is that not one?
And I look over at Dr. Baruch, like, this is not a thing. No, I was no. I was supposed to get you all for meeting at Scotland Yard at 2.
Oh. Whatever for?
He would not tell me. It's
Who's
very
he?
rude. The mismatched detective fellow who's going to die from sleep deprivation. And probably lack of nutrients. I don't think bean water is very healthy.
Bean water.
Mm.
Oh, 1 minute. Let me just consult my memory.
He was so insignificant, it's hard to remember.
No,
Was it
I have too many notes.
Albert? Was it Arthur?
It was.
Oh, Arthur.
Oh, yes, him. He was very
Detective Murray.
difficult.
Yes.
Yes, Detective Murray. So he wants
That's
to meet
what
us
I-
at Scotland Yard.
At 2.
Oh.
I didn't really stick in memory. He was not very memorable. I did not like him very much. So
He has a unique personality, but still, we should go in and eat and discuss.
yes, that is what he wanted us to do for some reason. Because we are always near things, apparently.
Lady Delilah Berkeley. It's been an exciting morning. The table is set. You're ready for your guests. Teddy and your husband have both gone out for the morning. They're on a trip around town. So you've got the house partly to yourself, especially because it seems Mickey has taken a trip out, which is incredibly rare. But he's out for the morning at the very least. There's been a lot of tension in your household. However, you've got a morning and you can finally see some of your friends and have a lovely breakfast. And it's all been served up. It all looks beautiful. And you're waiting, and outside the window as you're waiting, you see them all, including Varuk and Magdalena, who you didn't think to invite at the time, as they're very busy, all just chatting outside of your gates.
First of all, why did I invite them?
For breakfast.
What?
A social visit.
Miss Fairchild tried to eat me. Okay.
More the
anyway,
reason to feed her.
That is true.
You got me a Christmas present. We're friends now.
Yeah, it's because I want our sons to be friends. But I like you with the way that I like making sure that I'm like far away from you and your swords in your mouth, especially. Anyways, I love you too, but still.
Well, there's a chair set at the opposite end of a long table.
Yeah, basically. She kind of like will kind of faintly open the window kind of just above, like outside the gate. Like not the gate, but like outside the front door, as you know, she keeps it open for important guests, and these are important guests. She has some like rose petals that she keeps for her bath, like drawn at all times. So she just kind of like takes the basket and it just pours it all upside down onto everyone. Like a cue. You gotta see her like peep out her head. You gotta see her peep out her head outside, like below. Are you going to come down, or is my breakfast going to get cold?
Are we coming in? Are we just walking in?
Is this
Yes.
breakfast?
Yes! She kind of like closes, like you hear her like shut the window, and then like, you know, like, you hear a little snap in the household as the window, like not the window, the door just burst open as like the you know, the servants both like, you know, one at each door open it up, and you know, great grand hall and all that. And she's
I like
already
how-
there.
I like how all of you were confused at the concept of going inside. Like, ooh, the greatest case, walking in the door.
I think the rose petals threw us all off. We were like,
Was that an invitation to come inside?
Ah, the case of the going to breakfast. How will we solve it?
Yeah, so Delilah's there at like the big sweeping staircase already, a striking figure, like waiting. Black and green dress today.
Tilly will zoom on in. Let's go.
I will follow, getting rid of rose petals as I go.
Okay. So you head in, and 2 more chairs are brought to the table when they see that you have guests. They bring them in. They serve up your breakfast. It's delightful. It has plenty of opulent treats for you all. Rare treats such as meat and vegetables, even eggs. They've got 2 to share between all of you.
Very well.
But still, that's still a good amount, given that they're very rare to get. You've got like an abundance of eggs.
There's
Which we'll
just
get to.
gross food noises from the end of the table where Miss Fairchild is sat.
I've made sure she sits at the other end of the table, as far away from me. She likes her at a distance. I'll be kind of eating
And as you watch
daintily
the
while
beast
kind of
eat, you know that its hunger is sated for the moment.
Yeah, I'll be making sure. I always have white cake prepared for Miss Fairchild. Now it's just kind of tradition. It will be rolled over after she's done. She's like, please don't eat me. It's like an offering.
Totally costs you a fortune every cake, but it's worth it for your life and your every other extremity that they may eat. But still, you're all served up breakfast, and you're served up tea and some bean juice for a couple of you. Some coffee.
Is that coffee?
I'd try it.
It's
weird.
bitter, like your brooding.
I will pretend not to enjoy it, but I will sulk in my brooding bean juice.
You must put the sugar and the cream in it.
No, it is dark and bitter like my brooding.
I personally prefer it black as well. She kind of like sips her little tiny espresso shot. It's better for the health.
Tilly stops putting in cream and just takes hers.
But you guys have seen
Tilly. Feel free to have some. You don't have to watch your waistline yet. She kind of has a little like smirk as she's like, "Oh, I will be making sure later."
Well, it's more to dilute it down. It's quite the effect on the system. Okay. Why are you brooding, Mr. Ville?
Indeed. Why would you be brooding?
And you do hear snoring from the other rooms from the servants.
What?
Your dishes have stopped coming.
Yeah, I look very confused.
Are you brooding because Archie left? He left to go out of town, and I do not know when he's coming back. And he did not say where he was going or how long.
Well, that is, if you are romantically inclined, I suppose that's a reason to brood.
I would think that'd be more pining, would it not be?
No, he should tell me everything he is doing and where he is going. He knows who I am.
Yes.
Do you know who I am, needy?
Well,
yeah, Delilah just kind of sits there like...
Yes?
Maybe you could have the detective figure out where he is.
Oh yes, you are good at finding out things.
To be honest, if you're...
Nothing says romantic like stalking.
To be honest, I'm not really in the habit of tracking vampires, so...
What
if
vampires?
Sorry, I forgot he was half as well. I'm sure if you trust him, right? He is your partner, so to speak. Yes. Well, if you trust him, he will come back to you, I'm sure. Besides, we obviously have a trip to Scotland Yard. I can't really be running around after your lord.
And
so.
why are we looking to go to Scotland Yard? I was expecting about 2 less guests today, and now I'm being told Scotland Yard. Why are we going to Scotland Yard?
Because the detective told us to go there too.
Hmm.
Hey,
Very
Mr. Arthur Murray. He apparently sent Mr. Ville and Dr. Verut to round us up, so to speak.
Oh, how very unpleasant of them.
Yes. Right. Thank you.
Yes.
It's unappreciated.
Yes.
Is that all right with you, Miss Berkeley and Miss Fairchild? You've not got anything else going on today?
No
Well,
previous engagements.
Right. And Miss Berkeley?
I did, but I guess I could go and change. She kind of sighs. Do not worry, I'll be there in about 5 minutes after.
I have found as a foreigner in this country, if the authorities call on you, you go, or you end up in prison.
Fascinating. As a native of this country, I found that when the authorities call for you, you generally hide and wait for them to stop looking.
I should have tried that.
I am the authority in my home country, so this is very strange.
Yes, I usually don't get summoned by, well, anyone.
The nerve and audacity. Just
Well, I'd
Indeed,
be more than
she
happy to go on
sighs.
your behalf, Miss Berkeley, if you have plans this afternoon.
Oh yes, Tilly, I do have something I need you to do for me, darling.
Anything? Perhaps.
Yes, so remember that did you get a date yet? I think he did. So did he agree? I think he did. Now, about that date of yours, I do have something that just came in. Finally, Rouge has delivered.
Right.
Praise Rouge. And
Okay,
you are
yes.
going to try them, and we're going to take your measurements properly. It's going to go backwards, final fitting, and then you'll be ravishing for your date.
Yes, Miss Berkeley.
Ravish.
No.
No, thank
She
you.
kind of grins at Magdalena. Perhaps not in your way.
I don't know. No.
Oh, I see.
Not like edible, I hope. I don't want to be edible.
You should use different words to describe him.
You know, I've always thought about and fascinated by the idea of edible clothing, but I'm going to have to discuss that with Rouge another time. Perhaps with a bedroom. Anyways, still, Miss Griffith.
Yes.
As soon as we're finished, let's go.
Right.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Anyway. She kind of like, she kind of just stands up gracefully, of course, and just as delicately and daintily as possible drags Tilly away. Just like, oh, you three enjoy yourselves. Please feel free to eat some more. Especially you, Miss Fairchild.
I looked to Miss Fairchild like, help.
Miss Fairchild is too quiet from all the food that is stuffed within their mouth to help, as they're still muted by all the food.
Yeah, she
And not
literally
a
just
button.
kind of like lifts her hands because her face is covered in cake. She's made her way through half of that cake in the last like 3 minutes of conversation. It's just gone.
Miss Fairchild, Gabriel's taken a liking to you. Please don't feed him too much because he's already got rather a fat bottom, and I don't. He likes to sit on me, so just be careful, please. Thank you.
I rather think that's usual for the breed, but I don't think there's much. Yes, I won't overfeed him. She kind of just like clicks her fingers and waits for the dog to just arrive next to her.
When the dog arrives next to you, the small corgi kind of sprints across the tiled flooring. You can hear every single step. It takes a lot.
She'll just pet him.
It's got very
and
short
occasionally
legs.
feed him little bits of bacon. Not a lot, but little bits, because she's eating the rest of the bacon. So
And you do so. And as for the rest of you, you've had a delightful breakfast. You've had your tea, your bean juice, your meat, whatever the hell you wanted to eat in the breakfast. And you've, of course, discussed the idea that you do have a meeting to attend with Scotland Yard. Do you attend? It's the real question.
I do, obviously.
yeah, if everyone else is going. Yeah.
Of course.
Oh well,
I
if
just-
Tilly's going, I'll go.
I suppose.
Apologies, we've had a question So I'm going to ask all of you as well for a refresher for me and also the audience. What are your levels of your corruption, and what is the corruption you have? We'll start with Varukht and we'll go around. So Varukht, what's your corruption and your level, please?
My current corruption is I am cursed 1, and I am consumed with my work 2, only because of the generosity of the audience took pity on me because I was at 3 and completely consumed by my work for a while there. So, yes,
Indeed, you were.
The doctor is indeed obsessed.
Brilliant. And Tilly, what is your current corruption and level, please?
Much like the Doctor, my current corruption is consumed with work, 2. However, last season it did creep up to 4, which was very dangerous after being confronted with the mask of the tortured heart. But thanks to the generosity of the audience, it's only 2 for now.
Okay, and Magdalena DeVille.
I have cursed 1 and dissolution 1, because apparently everyone thinks it's hilarious to have the people eating vampire to be like as least corrupt as possible, or they're terrified of what would happen if I actually got a high level corruption. So I'm at my minimum corruption.
100%. And Delilah Berkeley, what is your corruption and your current level?
I'm quite sure I'm at... See, I remember 2, but my sheet says 1.
We'll go with the 1.
Yeah, I think it's because we had like this. I got 1, and then I lost 1 somewhere in between that entire time of
everybody got
audience
redeemed at
wanting me
Christmas.
to be. Ah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm at 1. You know, very unobsessed, but intrigued by mirror-related things. So I'm obsessed.
Indeed, you are. And last but not least, of course, the man-eating Miss Fairchild.
I am ravenous at level 3, which crept up to level 5 last season because of the mask and me saying stupid things to chat. But it's now back at level 3, so I'm just really, really, really hungry. Really, just hungry. But for food, not for people. That's important.
Yet.
Yes.
And I'm sure they'll all climb up very quickly in this season as we get into this case more and more. But that's the corruptions for those who are interested. Because we did have some questions in chat, and I do love the corruption system in Unhallowed Metropolis. So to give a little oversight as to how that works as well, for those of you tuning in for the first time, there are 5 levels of corruption. When you hit 5, things are very bad. Each level of corruption, you gain more mechanics and more sort of things that you need to role play on based on what is going on. Say if you were cursed, things would get worse around you and for people around you all the time up until level 5, where you're suddenly very paranoid and you don't want to leave your house because bad things always happen around you. And if you ever go beyond that 5th level, you go something called Beyond the Pale, in which you lose your character to their corruption. So there is always this balance of corruption in the game, which I'm sure you'll see some other mechanics based around later when we get into them. But we'll get back to the story as all of you agree to the meeting. And after having your various mornings and early days, you make your way over towards Scotland Yard. Tilly, you drop off the dog with somebody to look after it temporarily, and you make your way all to Scotland Yard. When you're there, you're met by a young officer outside, a young man in a very sort of ragtag uniform with a hat on their head that looks too big for them. They look to only be around 15 and sort of have very short-shaved hair and a very clean-shaven face as they sort of look up at you with their bright eyes and sort of turn around and I'm imagining you're the guest for the detective.
Mr. Arthur Murray, yes.
Yes, Detective Murray. Yeah, he's waiting for you. I'll take you in to see him. My name is Stanley. Stanley Copper. Yes, I understand the joke. I've had it many times.
No, Mr. Copper, it's fine.
There is joke.
Oh, Lord. Yes.
Is it ER or A? Copper or Copper?
It's Copper with an A.
Right. Interesting. All right.
I'm so sorry.
Lead on then.
I just kind of lean in and whisper to Magdalena, "What's the reference?"
I don't know.
The American just
And
like
as you
looks at the
say,
other
you
foreigner
don't
very
know.
confused.
Stanley Copper turns around and the young man begins to lead you in. He goes, please stay close and make sure that you don't get distracted with all of the other things around, including the criminals currently in holding. Don't touch them. It's bad. They might take your arm. Or, I don't know, just touch you, and that's kind of gross. So keep close, and we'll take you to Arthur, Detective Murray, and then everything will be fine. And then I've got to do a T-run. Important police business.
I definitely pay attention to all of the prisoners as we walk by and everything else going on.
In her head, Tilly's just thinking, oh, wee lamb. Look at you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Miss Fairchild kind of tries to unnerve him by walking really quietly behind him.
It does unnerve him slightly, but most of the time he doesn't seem to notice you. He seems pretty oblivious to what's going on around him. Very sort of, blinders on, going straight forward all the time, moving forward, never looking back as he makes his way through the office. And you see various desks set up, and you can see plenty of the constables and the police just sort of sat around, some of them drinking tea and some of them sort of looking over case files, many of them working at the moment, it seems. And you do see a holding cell off to the left-hand side of the building where you can see multiple people in various states, some of them very healthy, some of them looking a little bit beaten, all sort of held in the cells at the moment, ready for being processed. And you're led through there and into a back room, a small sort of hallway that leads into what looks almost like a storage cupboard of sorts. And hey, raiders, thank you very much for the raid, Black Cats. Awesome to see you all here. And so you're led into the back end. You're led through a tight, winding corridor, and at the end of it, you see what looks almost like a broom closet, but it's got a single sign on it that says Detective Arthur Murray. Well, this will be it.
All right.
That's his office.
Yes.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can see.
fighting rather gave it away.
Cupboards around here as well. There's brooms in that one. There's some cleaning stuff in that one, in case you spill anything.
Thank you.
Have a good meeting.
Detective Murray?
And inside you hear some shifting of papers before you hear, right, yes, come in. I'm expecting you.
Well, I hope so.
Oh, yes, of course I am.
She'll come in.
Brilliant. So, and as you step in, you see his office is quite the state. There's papers everywhere. He's got kind of a small desk. It's quite a cramped room. It seems to be more a old storage cupboard that's being repurposed as his office in the basement. And you do see there are no windows in this place at all, but he has a single gas lantern that he's got on the side, which is illuminating the room quite well. And he's got various clippings on the wall, including many different sort of drawings of people that have all got these sinister mugs that are all sort of pinned to the wall, and a lot of red, what looks to be string going between different links. And he sits back and sort of gestures to the chairs. He has two in there, aside from his own, both of which have piles of paperwork on them, which he quickly stands up and moves to the side and then dusts them off before gesturing. Please, do come in.
Can I have a look at the red crisscross and see what case he's trying to crack?
I'm going to sit
various
down.
ones. You don't have many details on exactly what crimes have been reported to Scotland Yard as a private detective yourself, but it seems to be a series of burglaries from what you can tell. Seems some of the people in Upper London have been having their homes robbed. They've been tied up and had their valuables taken, but they're unharmed. Seems to be a strange case. There are a few others as well, which detail the case of a missing necklace that seems to be worth thousands of pounds that he's currently looking into. This one seems to have an elaborate web of locations and people and objects, and it seems to go almost one of the entire walls is taken up by this. It looks to be quite the case.
All right. I'll sit myself down as well.
Right. Please do come in. Shut the door behind you. It might be a bit tight, but you'll manage. Does anyone want a coffee? He says, and you see he's got a pot of coffee that he's got. He's got a full mug at the moment that he's refilled already, and he looks to have a bit of a shake, as if the caffeine is a lot in him.
No, thank you. For me, thank you.
Right,
How
okay.
has Magdalena's first cup of coffee affected her? Is she feeling the caffeine buzz?
You are feeling it, despite being a vampire. Well, Dampir, you're feeling like half the effects of it, but you've also never had it before, and you're feeling energized. You're brooding, but you're brooding at twice the speed.
If I have a second cup, I might brood it 3 times the speed. So yes, I will take your bean juice.
The doctor doesn't see any cream or sugar, so he passes on the coffee, and he's noting how inefficient the red string and papers on the wall are and how they could be organized much better.
Of course, and you're looking at that, but it seems efficiency is not really this detective's forte. It seems they have some sort of system of their own they've worked out. But as you sit down and deny the coffee, you kind of look around, and we've also had a lovely donation. We've had some bits in. So, Miss Fairchild, you gain a crit success, which I will add to your little box in a second. But thank you so much, Mecca. And yes, so as you're all kind of set about, he takes out another file, a quite thin file, and he puts it down on the table. I've been having some things happen recently, some things that I thought maybe you'd all be interested in. I have a lot of cases on right now, and I can't really take it in, but it is quite important. So I thought, why not ask some people from outside of the office who may look into it. A lot of the people here have written it off. They've said there's no point in looking into it anymore, and deaths happen all the time. Murder, especially in lower London, is quite common. People are shanked almost every day. But
I've
they
heard.
seem to be more organized, which to me seems interesting. Rather brutal killings. But I don't know, there's something going on there, I think.
What kind of brutal killings in Lower London?
There was, he takes out the file and opens it and begins to flick through. There's not many details about them. Not much of the funding was sent down there. I've only had a couple of files come up from the lower city myself. But from what I have seen, a gentleman known as Alan McCready was walking back from one of the pubs, the railway pub, I believe you know it, one night. And they were stabbed 30 times.
Oh.
Quite a lot of stabbings.
But
the thing is, the thing that was more interesting is the autopsy is rather shoddy, but it seems to suggest it was done with many different knives.
Now that is
And
interesting.
in quick succession, but the thing is, I thought gang violence, that's what they've written it off as, but there's some interesting details about the wounds. A couple of them were rather curved. Not many of the knives used down there are curved, and not many of the ones that the Americans used are in that sort of a way. Also, the Americans more into beating with blunt things or shooting with guns. Generally, the guns, they seem obsessed with them.
Yeah.
Yes, quite.
Yes.
It ain't sitting right with me. Reason being, McCready was not involved with any of the gangs. I knew him personally. Pleasant bloke. Had a cat, very loud. But alas, they got let out when he didn't return home.
What was his occupation?
He didn't have one. He used to be a miner back in the day. He used to go down some of the mines up north of England before, of course, they were shut down, before they couldn't be explored anymore due to the plague. Older man. Pleasant enough, friendly. Wouldn't harm a fly.
Right.
For him to be killed in such a way, so brutally and so quickly, it seems cruel.
Can you pass the case files here, please?
He does. You'll not find much more than what I told you, he says and hands it over. And indeed, the details that you are given are the details he has told you. It's a very thin file. They've written it off as gang violence. Lower city, it's dangerous. Old man dies down there, no one cares.
Is there any pictures of the body?
It's been exhumed.
Is it just one that's turned up like this, or are there others with the same sort of similar wounds?
One other. Unidentified. He kind of takes out another file and opens it and slips out a small, what looks to be a photograph, a rare thing to see, which he kind of hands over. And you do indeed see another body. Again, you see the various stab wounds across the body, dotting it entirely, a very bloody, gory mess, but you see there is no head to be found.
That would make identification difficult, true.
That it would.
No fingerprinting?
Unidentified male.
Male.
None we could find.
Male. Headless.
Peeled off, it seems. Whoever did this didn't want him found. Didn't want him to know who died. We have no idea who this is. This John Doe, so to speak, is unidentified. But
Where were they found?
McCready, in the streets, middle of him, on his way back. Outside of an old printing press that shut down. Near Whitechapel, but just outside. As for this one, they were found outside of the police office. A rather brazen little kill.
Do you think do you think the body was dragged there after the crime had happened, or do you think it happened outside?
All I have is a picture and a very annoyed constable.
Which police office? Whitechapel.
No, miss, that'd be here.
That is brazen.
Indeed it is.
Left outside of Scotland Yard itself.
Luckily, we managed to cover it up quick, but if more people had seen it, they'd have been saying more things. But rumours are spreading, and whilst the rest of them have written it off as some spree of gang violence, I don't buy it.
And I'm guessing that body is not available to access either.
No, he says, a little annoyed at it as he sort of sits back and takes another sip of his coffee. Burned that as well. They wanted to write it off as soon as possible. We don't have the forces or the money to spare, you see. Busy season after Christmas.
Looking at the photo, are the stab wounds, like, I take note, because the doctor doesn't have forensic science and doesn't really care, but he does look at where the wounds are, like,
Yeah, sure.
a specific, like, heart, spleen, liver,
Okay,
kidney?
could you give me a medicine check, please? So just kind of look over it from a medical standing.
All right,
You've only got one
locked up.
view, which is sort of 3/4 on,
All right,
looking
I
over
can't,
the corpse on a cobblestone road.
Can't get into fantasy grounds right now, so
No problems.
8 plus 4 is 12. 12.
So you look at it, and there's a lot of them, and you think at least a few would have probably punctured a lung, perhaps hit the stomach. Definitely some internal damage. Obviously, it's a lot of stab wounds. There's tens upon tens of them, at least from what you can see, and you can't see the back and you can't see the other side, but you assume there's more. All of the stab wounds, however, are focused on the torso. All of these tens seem to be there, and you haven't unfortunately got a picture of the first victim, but they do seem perhaps to be organized, but that could just be your mind thinking that because you decided to see it.
All right.
Now, you said first victim made 30 stabs. Does this one also have exactly 30 stabs?
I wish I could say they counted it, but they didn't.
They did not count the stabs? This sounds very, oversight.
No, they didn't.
Magdalena looks a
They
little
were busy
impressed
trying to
now.
get rid of the body and the evidence.
Oh,
They
no.
didn't want people to see it or know about it.
It's an impressive amount of stabbing.
If that is what you think is impressive.
Looking over the photo, can I sort of see any pattern between them?
Sure, could you give me a forensic science, please?
Sure thing. Oop. A 14.
Okay, on a 14, you think there may be, but it's hard to tell. It's a lot of stabs on a picture, just a Polaroid sort of picture, very sort of dyed as it is. It's not the clearest, but you think there's possibly some sort of pattern there, but ideally you'd want, as much as you dread to think, another victim to look at. You need a body
Doctor,
to investigate.
do you
Yes.
perhaps have anatomical diagrams that we could annotate? I think there's a pattern here, but I can't see. The picture's not very clear, and I'm sure if we actually took note and notched on a picture, that it might be a little bit clearer for us rather than this photo.
I do not have anything like that with me, but you point and I'll tell you what's there in the anatomy.
All right.
Speaking
Maybe
of
when we get
patterns, GM.
Yes.
Those knife marks, even though we can't tell patterns, were they at least kind of like the C shapes? Just making sure.
So, could you please give me a forensic science check? If you don't have it,
Yes,
just give me 2d10s
I
on its own,
totally-
please.
13.
On a 13, you look, and they're definitely stab wounds. They look like stabs. You don't investigate many dead bodies.
Yeah.
The only ones you've
The-
seen are the ones that were done in by the mob, and again, the mob usually used a lot more blunt objects or guns.
Yeah, she kind of still tries her best to kind of like swallow the bile every time she looks at a picture of a dead body. You don't get used to that unless, you know, you're Tilly or the doctor or anyone else in this party. And she'll kind of tug a bit.
Unless you're
at,
part of the cadaver
Tilly's-
crew.
She kind of just tugs lightly at Tilly's sleeve. Miss Griffiths,
Yes.
you mentioned patterns, yes?
I think so, but unfortunately, and I hope it doesn't, but until another body turns up, I can't be sure.
Well, I'm not particularly well versed with dead bodies or stab wounds, but might there be a chance these cadavers have the knife marks of what happened with Mickey? That kind of C curved shape. I can't stare at that for too long, unfortunately.
That's all right. I'll have another look and see if I can. I'll hold it more up to the light and see if I can get a better view and see if I can see the same similar stabs to Mick.
Mute button, there we go. So, yeah, you
You
have a look, and give me another forensic science check, please.
Of course. 18.
Okay, brilliant stuff. So on an 18, at least a few of them do look similar to the one that you saw Mickey have. Not all of them, but a couple resemble it. The width of the blade, the length, seems to match a
Yes.
couple wounds.
Some of them do actually. Seemingly, it's hard to tell, but it does seem to match. Only a few, though, not all of them. Different knives were used. I know you didn't get a proper look at the body, but based on the... I suppose... Based on the different angles, do you think different men or women did this, or do you think it was one individual who was just picking out knives?
Well, I mean, at least me, I think it's quite a few. I think many of them did.
You think it
It
was a
looks
group?
like multiple assailants. I mean, that many in as short a time frame as they had needed. I can't imagine they were doing it for long. Looks to have been
see.
pretty direct and pretty quick.
Right, well, we can tentatively take this on, maybe? Yes? Look around.
We are. I kind of look very dejected. Oh.
Will we have any access to your resources, or will we just be left?
You won't have any access to our resources. This is me asking all of you and giving you it. It's more of a favor to me than anything else. But I think it may be related to one of your curios you're looking for. After all, one of them's a dagger, right? Curved, old, slightly
Yeah.
serrated.
Yes.
Yes.
Just curious how you would know about that.
I know many things. It's my business to know, Miss Griffiths, as I'm sure you know as well.
Detectives.
I know. Terrible creatures.
The worst, he says, and sort of sits back and takes another sip of his coffee. His eyes still looking very sort of manic almost, but black bags under both of his eyes as he looks knackered, to say the
Sorry.
best
Miss-
word.
Miss
You know-
Fairchild absolutely reaches across the desk and just takes the coffee out of his hand and just puts it on the desk.
You know, I think a stout of narcolepsy would sort you right out. Why
And
staying
I
up
don't
so
think
late?
they sell that on the streets, or at least not legally.
I mean, they
Maybe
could.
try some water for a while.
No, I need this. I've got at least another 10 hours on my shift.
What about a nap? Milk with honey always helps soothe me with a nap.
No, I think I'm fine. I don't need a nap. I'll be fine. I've got at least 2 more jugs of coffee to get me through the day. As I said, 10 hours, that's a jug every 5. If I space it out, it'll be fine.
That's not going to work.
You will die of heart failure, mister.
No, I'll be fine.
What's keeping you up anyway? I can see you've got quite busy walls going on, but...
Yes, a lot of cases. Quite a few. But yes, some burglaries that are going on. One every few nights at the moment. I'm trying to find out which one will be struck next. I have a few leads. I'm going to follow them up today. I've also got to look for the jewels that I'm looking for as well. Beautiful set. One handed down directly from Queen Victoria I, all the way down her descendants before it reached into a collection within a museum that was stuck. Anyway, he says and sort of shows up. You've got your own cases to deal with. I've got mine. Yours involves murder. Be careful.
Yes, I can quite see why you handed this off when you have cat burglaries to look into.
The necklace is worth at least £2,000.
Yes, because lives are worth so much less than the Queen's jewels.
Miss Fairchild just leans over to Miss Griffiths and says,
sometimes.
Rich people.
Yes, I know.
I don't choose my cases, Miss Griffiths. I am not a PI. I get what I get from work. They tell me what to investigate, and I do.
Well, hopefully yours is filled with less peril.
Doubtless it won't be, but I hope that it goes well. I'll be able to help on my hours off. I finish at around 10 p.m. every night. I'm back on shift at 6 a.m., but in between that time, I can work
man,
with you.
sleep.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Don't come in.
should
You drink of days-old coffee, and you're quite off-putting. Yes.
Well, regardless, I'll be around. If I find any more information, I'll spread it your way.
That's fine. Right, we
Good
have
luck.
business to be attending to, so good luck to you, Mr. Murray.
And if you do manage to do this, I'll be able to give you a couple of things. A couple of things they've thrown away. Some rumors and information on your Curios, perhaps, and their whereabouts, at least for one of the other ones. And I can also make sure that a certain file around a strange ghoul down in lower London, that he takes out the file and starts to look at it, has been draining people when they've been sleeping. Apparently, there's been a lot of people complaining of it. And they've been seeing this strange lady in the night going around. There are some witnesses as to who that might be. But this is their only account, he says and closes it. Luckily, most people saw it as a rumours.
Odd things happening in lower London, as always.
Always.
Constantly.
Always. He sits back and sort of smiles at you all. Have a lovely time.
I was actually wondering.
Yes, I'm open.
Yes. Would we be able to perhaps access some files from about 20 some odd years ago? Closed
That might
cases?
be difficult.
Closed. Nothing new. It's about a particular murder.
That is
And-
very broad. You may want to narrow the search there for me.
Of a Miss D'Angelo.
D'Angelo. Remember that name.
Yes.
I'll have a look. I'll see what I can dig out. If you do this for me, I'm happy to supply you with whatever information you need, as long as it is within my reach and, of course, not illegal.
Yes, of course. I'm quite sure it's an open and shut case, but thank you.
Not a problem. I'll see what I can dredge up from the archives.
Thank you. And she'll kind of stand back and look pale again as she kind of looks down at the drawings and
You all be safe.
stare at the wall.
I could leave you with some extract of coca, and it would help you stay awake.
He kind of looks at you and goes, I think I'll manage on this stuff. The other seems much more addictive. Thank you, though, he says, and sort of takes another sip.
Clicks his heels.
But, you know, bean juice, all natural, it'll be fine, I'm sure.
So is cocaine, sir. And she kind of like puts her sticks on the ground and lifts herself out of her chair.
Where would I have an
Completely done with these young
addictive
people.
personality, and that's a terrible idea.
Oh, but this is perfectly fine, obviously.
Look, this isn't going to fuck me up as much as that would.
Are we at the particular stage in time in which cocaine is being put into tonics for ladies to keep slim right
Oh,
now?
yeah.
Or
Yeah, it
are we
is.
past
Yeah,
that?
you're in that
Yeah,
time.
it was a cough
100%.
suppressant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
take
I was
two.
like,
You take powder.
yeah, she's like,
Yeah.
you're talking about the tonic that's all the rage. Just like kind of looking quite curiously at Miss Fairchild.
Yes, Lady Barclay, that is exactly what I'm referring to.
It has been quite trendy. Not sure if I buy into it yet. Can I have a word thinks about it?
Later.
Of course. I mean,
At your house?
of course. I do love entertaining, and you are some of my favorite people.
If you're all agreeable to that.
Sure. No, I'm
Naturally.
already out of house.
Yes.
Okay. So, setting out, where do you wish to go?
Just back to Lady Berkeley's, I think.
Okay, so you head back to Lady Berkeley's. The travel is rather uneventful for the most part. But, Dr. Varugt, as you're going back and you're walking through the streets, you think you see a face you recognize from the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
Could you give me a very quick wit check, please?
I was going to say there and gone. All right. Oh. Not my strong suit. But 10, 12.
Even on a 12, you'd recognize his face. You recognize it anywhere. Hopefully they don't recognize yours. As you're walking, you see a retinue of Deathwatch in special-looking armor with sort of small badges on the side of them. Not of the Deathwatch of London, but that of the Lovell Society. And you indeed see the head of the society, a Dr. Nicholas Lovell. An older gentleman in a very fine suit. Some glasses on at the moment, a very fine respirator, and his hair trimmed impeccably, and a nice hat on his head. And he's walking through with a cane, with Raven's head on the top of it, as he walks the streets rather calmly, his retinue of soldiers with him.
You try to sidestep a bit,
Okay.
and conspicuously maybe shrink down in my greatcoat as best I can.
And yes, Magdalena.
Do I sense any vampires?
Give me a quick wit check. This would be a bit of a
Okay.
weird one for you.
Yeah. You know, just
Do I
any
see
vampires
anything with my
popping up on the
spookum
radar.
eye?
Okay, quick wit check. Oh, I'll re-roll it. I wanna know. Or at least want to roll better than a 3 and a 4. 2 and a 3. There we go. 21.
Oh,
You're mute.
That's
I
fine.
don't know
On a
what-
21, you immediately twig it as you catch a whiff of something rather strongly, and you do smell vampire heavily. The Deathwatch soldiers that are currently with this strange individual who are wearing this dark armor completely sealed off to daylight, tinted lenses, and full body armor are definitely not of the living.
Good. I make a note of that. A mental note of that. As, like, hey, Dad, I saw this really cool idea.
And just as you detect that, you also see a couple of the Deathwatch members at the back turn and look directly at you. One of them gives you a nod. And then turns
Just give him a
Back.
little smile.
to the doctor and continues to flank them as they walk through. And Doctor, as you see Nicholas, and as you see these Deathwatch soldiers walking away, could you please give me a very quick willpower check, please, with no concentration? There is no time to concentrate. And you are muted as well. It's
Uh,
all right. Standard issue muting issues.
for when you first day back. And that was without concentration, but it was
Without
wit?
concentration. So will, please.
Will. Okay.
Willpower. And also thank you so much for the sub, Godfather Wraith. Awesome of you. Thank you so much.
That would be a 20.
Wow. Okay. All right then. So I'm just going to quickly go and sort this out. But then as soon as I've got our sub added for our amazing subscriber, there we go, we will get right back to it. So, Doctor, you feel something pulling at you. You feel your days in the war pulling at you. You feel those memories of your hours, your days, your weeks, year perhaps, in those labs with Nicholas, working on various projects, working on those projects, enhancing people, changing people, prosthetics better than just mere things to help them, but instead to enhance them. Biology experiments, twisting people. This is all flooding into you.
Okay.
But you manage to hold yourself back as your breath begins to hitch. You pause for a moment in the streets as you feel that panic starting to take in, that past coming back to haunt you. But you catch yourself before you throw yourself back into those memories.
And he starts to swear and mumble in German under his breath.
As you see your old lab partner leaving.
I'm very glad they didn't notice.
I think Tilly would go, fall in line with Dr. Verrucht. And being a bit more perceptive than most. Are you all right, sir?
Those are very bad man. Very bad. I knew him in the war. And the things he did in the war make the plague look like hopscotch that the kids play. It's a child's game.
I see. Well, hopefully he didn't recognize you.
And as you say that in your head, Verrucht, you hear, but it wasn't only them who was doing bad things. We are also to blame.
And he tries to, concentrate his resolve to not blurt any more out or say any more, other than it would have been very, very bad if they had recognized me.
Do I hear these two talking about this?
Oh yeah. With your enhanced senses, of course.
I'll turn as he says that it would be very bad if they're going to be like, well, yes, they are vampires. Like the
and
this
Dr.
is when I
Verrucht,
kind of turn like
and you'll see a sparkle in Dr. Verrucht's eyes, and he really locks gaze with you, and it's like, and so much worse.
Yet somehow you look quite pleased. Delilah looks at him and tries to smile but can't.
Perhaps we should get into the safety of the manor before we discuss this out
yes,
anymore.
safety.
And you continue to make your way towards the manor with no other interruptions on your way. As you make it to the gates, you're led in and you enter the manor.
I hopefully I shan't be keeping you very long, if that's all right with you all. I just I had a favour to ask of you all.
Today is a day of favors, it would seem.
Indeed. Why not go with the current trend?
Well, yes, obviously I'm such a follower of trends. And I'll wait for Miss Berkeley to sort out her house and everything else. And
I
everyone
mean,
gets...
I go in. My servants know what to do. Come on.
Oh yeah, they're
They're well
done by
trained.
the time you come back.
I don't
They are
need to
very
swear
good at their
anything, are you
jobs.
kidding? Yeah.
I'm surprised they're awake.
Eventually, after back to
They'll just fall
the
They are
asleep.
looking more tired by the moment.
Yeah.
hmm I'm going to get us to be in the parlor. Make sure to dismiss the servants after the tea and the snacks are placed. As
Gross
usual,
food sounds.
You're in
just
your
rude.
usual meeting situation.
Yes.
So, this case,
Yes.
Yes.
and the last one.
I think it is faceless people. The people with no faces who do the stabbing.
I think you may be correct on that.
Is this the one
However-
that controls people?
The knife of eternal... I think it's a knife of dagger of eternal bliss. Yes.
Yes, that one. It's
Ten-
from home
ten-
country.
Mm.
Oh.
To put it bluntly, there are some loose ends from the previous artifact that I would request your aid in.
We had loose ends. I thought we very securely put it in museum. I did not think it was loose.
And any
the
other
artifact
people
itself
usually died.
is very much safe. However, the assailant has... Mr. Villa, you were left a particular
Yes.
warning.
Yes. A death threat. How rude. It was the nerve they had.
Yes,
well.
and my house was attacked. I remember.
Did we not kill them? Did you not kill him though? I thought he was dead.
I believe they were two different people.
What?
They were working alone.
What?
And while there is no particular evidence that the Curios all aren't linked, they were all taken in one night. Perhaps it is a group working together with all the Curios.
Ugh.
To put it bluntly, my tutor was taken by these people, and I have discovered their whereabouts. And I would request your assistance on retrieving them.
Of course.
Oh, you mean taken like kidnapped, not like, oh, they're dead now. They were taken too soon.
I have sincerely hope they are alive. Excuse me. Yes, I hope they're alive. They were definitely taken. They broke into the house, and they live in Upper London. It was a rather messy affair, but they fought back. They're a strong lady.
So then, is this a situation that we should bring heavy weaponry? Like the Thompson gun?
You still kept that thing.
Why would he not?
Yeah.
Well, it's
Your,
Is it legal, that gun? I don't think it is. I'm not sure.
No
I
guns are
mean,
legal
laws will
right now.
change here soon anyways. Laws will be very different very soon. Do
Right.
not
It's very
worry.
cool to have. Not every problem will have an elegant solution.
With all due respect, Dr. Verrucht, being the target of that particular weapon multiple times, I have no real desire to go near it for a foreseeable time in the ever, hopefully. It was rather painful. And besides, if these people are the ones perhaps working and stabbing and murdering, taking some alive would definitely be useful in questioning. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it's only non-lethal force. I know Mr. Ville has a certain predilection for violence, but do your best.
Centuries of practice.
The priority is to get my tutor back, if that's all right. Capturing any of
I
them
feel
would
the
be...
need to take a course in how to shoot a gun.
Oh, I can teach you. I have bought a
be
spare
lovely,
gun,
Miss Griffiths.
so I could
That would
perhaps...
be very lovely.
Yes. I have their coordinates. We can probably go through some shooting practice today, Miss Berkeley, but I've waited long enough to get them back. I was told to wait after the new year. It is after the new year.
As soon as possible, Miss
Of the
Griffiths.
new year.
Understandably.
It is just before the new year. It isn't quite there yet.
Your
You're
calendar
not
is
quite at the
wrong.
new year.
Sorry, I'm a
As I
little
said,
bit.
it's been about a
Not-
week. You're just before the new year. You've basically got a day until New Year's Eve.
You know,
Not
about
long.
New Year's, I do have a big party plan going on. Would you like to come,
course you
by the
do.
way? I forgot. Yes, it's going to be a rather big one, to show off Ned's being back and how I'm not a murderer. It's useful as publicity.
Celebration.
I'm not a
have
murderer
parties
party.
to show you are not a murderer? I might have to
Yes.
host one of these parties.
It's
Based
Oh.
on what my only found.
no.
But
Hello,
yes,
I am not a
Magdalena,
murderer party.
Magdalena, there are a few bits of business for yourself as well. But yes, it isn't
Yes.
the new year yet. However, you do know that you have a meeting set up for later today with the Queen.
With
Your
the
father is to meet
yes.
them tonight on the evening. You do
Mhm.
have some guest tickets as well that you can go with. They've said they've got you a few invitations so that you could take those that you wish. But you do have an invitation for yourself at least. Of
Mhm.
course, your father and a few other people if you wished.
I would have taken my boyfriend, but he left. So, guess he doesn't get to see the queen.
I mean, you
Probably
could take
doesn't-
Ricky,
I might
make an
kill him.
impression.
I do not. I mean,
Hello, this is my American.
Papa would probably kill him horrifically, so I should probably not.
Yeah, there's that.
But yes,
He
there is
doesn't
that.
really approve.
You have that
Mhm.
to deal with, of course, this evening. Your day,
Mhm.
however, is rather free for all of you. And you do also, in the evening, Tilly, you do also have a evening to go and see a show to go to.
Oh, that was tonight. Right. How's the 1st of January for everyone?
Sure,
I'm not really used to celebrating the New
Of
Year's.
course.
if
so,
we are lucky, January will bring whole new world to this island.
May I inquire what you should think about that, Mr. Ville? Are you
Yes.
expecting some sort of uprising very soon?
It would be less like uprising, more like takeover. What do you think of New Transylvania?
Considering I've
I do
never
like the
visited
sound
old
of it.
Transylvania, I don't think I
It is
have a.
it is wonderful. You will love
Hmm.
it.
I do enjoy.
And since
the
you are my friends, you will not be, murdered or anything.
I am a fan of
likely.
new things. You've heard of
Wonderful.
New England.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
going
We
so
do it
well
better.
right now because there aren't Americans killing all of us in the streets.
Well, I'm saying American as a whole, we're doing quite well. Well, they are doing quite well. I'm British now.
I think this is karma for us invading so many people. I really do.
Quite.
You were
We
kind
probably
of,
deserve this.
you were kind of compulsive invaders for many hundred years.
It's very impressive.
We
I'm
didn't
finally
really have
learning
much
more.
of a problem
Yes,
because
and-
my father is great leader.
Oh, your father's going to be the one taking over the country. Excellent.
Well,
Great.
yes, of course, he will rule the world one day.
I'm sure. Well, I have an arrangement to get to. So
And to prepare for, my dear, I have a very, very dramatic and important thing to deal with Ned later on tonight. But today, my day is yours. And
can't I just teach you
You will
shooting
have access
and
to-
I just throw on something and we go?
no, you've already seen the dress, have you not? It's beautiful. And it will suit you. And it's already begun, I've already had it begun to be tailored properly again. It will fit you like a glove.
Well, the gloves I own are rubber gauntlets, so I hope it fits a little bit better than those.
Like
Does
a
one want
leather
a dress
glove.
to fit like a glove? I imagine it'd be better if it fit like a dress.
Well, that's just saying, is it not?
I wouldn't know.
Oh, don't change for anyone, Miss Fairchild.
Yes.
I doubt I could if I tried. Eat small cake.
Where's the
I
dog?
just laugh nervously.
How fat has he gotten since I left? Gabriel?
I have a French chef, dude.
Oh no. Either my dog
Been
is going
eating
to
pate.
Oh no, my pate dog. I'll go and retrieve my hound. Or should I say my round? How round is he? Where is the round?
Maybe that should be his real name.
The round.
Corgi of
Gabriel
the round
around.
table.
Yes.
I mean, that would be suitable. But yes, the dog is around. It's chubby as always, and is very much enjoying its food.
But you have eaten so much and you have walked so little. Dog.
It looks up at you with big eyes, looking pathetic.
Don't look pathetic at me, all right?
It looks more
You are
pathetic
going-
at you.
You're going to eat yourself into an early grave, and I'm not digging it.
If he gets
You're
fat enough,
actually-
you could eat him.
I don't want to eat him.
Oh.
Not in front
I
of
cannot.
him.
Lila
The
looks
tram will reach
shocked
over and
and
cover his big
horrified.
ears. Like,
Don't say
You
no.
do so, as it looks kind of sad.
I don't think I can eat anything that slept on me, you know? I don't.
Oh, I eat things that sleep on me all the time.
I'm sure you
You get used to it.
The doctor gets this like 1,000-yard stare, and he thinks about having to eat rats in the war. The rats were on them. You wake up, you kill it, and then
Yeah, it was a bad time.
Yeah.
It was always a risk as well. It was 50-50 if you'd catch the plague. So it was rat roulette. It was not a good time, the reclamation or the wars.
Dr. Varuk
rat
had really
relation.
good luck then. Like, just the entire time the roulette was not plague.
Still, as you think about that again, can you give me another willpower check, please? Keep bringing up the war for Rook, see what it gets you.
Yeah, exactly. And will, so it's only +2, so 10, 3, and 2, 15. Sorry, dyslexia sometimes is really hard to
Okay,
focus
so
on.
Baruch. They're just sitting there and they're discussing these things, and you think about the rats, and you say that your mind swims for a moment, and you're taken back as you find yourself soaked to the bone, covered in mud, blood, and God knows what else, inside of trenches built just outside of London. Sandbags on the side. You see many injured around you. Yourself shivering, cold, having tended to a lot of them previous day, and you do see a young man, dark hair slicked back, very pale skin and very angular features, walking around, talking to others, and he spots you and walks over to you and takes off a bag before taking out a flask and holding it out to you.
God, snatch the
You should drink. You look like you're freezing to the bone.
That's,
This will
this,
heat you up a bit.
this is very yes, thank you. Is it do I smell alcohol?
You do. You smell what seems to be some homemade vodka.
All right. Okay. And he tips it back, and knowing, I mean, in his scientific mind, knowing that it's just going to make him feel warmer, but not actually make him warmer, he still does it because war is hell. And, takes a good long pull and then meticulously puts the cap back on. And, well, thank you.
Now, as for the rest, you'll need to heat up a bit. Here, he says, and he goes into his bag and he pulls out a blanket, which he throws over to you.
Mm.
You need to keep yourself warm, Doctor. We can't be losing any more of it. What's your name, anyway? You've been serving these people for a while now. I've heard you've been making your rounds on the trenches, but not really leaving.
In this flashback, I give my real name.
You do.
And I kind of take a deep breath, and I'm covered in the blanket and still shivering. And who are you? Who is
Names
so
aren't
kind?
important right now, but I will say one thing. We've got some people there working on something.
Hmm.
Won't have to be in the trenches anymore. You'll be warm. And the people you'll be dealing with will be more in need. I've heard good things about you, Doctor. Heard very promising things about you.
And
How would you like to work with us?
He gets suspicious looking, like a suspicious look in his eye, like, what have you heard? Because he was on trial before being sentenced to being here, so he's paranoid. Also, too, you see that the doctor, his head is very shaved. He's just got a little tuft of white hair on top, but in the shivering cold, he's like working in the lab or in more surgery, further away from the front.
Well, let's just say that some people think that your trial was a travesty and that your work is needing to be continued, Doctor. And let's just say that me and my people are one of them.
And,
how would you like to change the world, Doctor? And not just here dying in the trenches.
Continue my work. I would appreciate that greatly. And he looks around. He looks around at the men around him, and
you see injured. You see people who are dying from animate bites. You see some of them already turning. You see miles of dead, injured. Those that are able still protecting their position, but it's only a matter of time until this place is ran over. You were put here, and you know that the rest of them are going to die. You know that you would. Probably why they put you here. Why would they want a criminal? It's what the penal corps are for. To go first.
His doctor's oath like tears at him, like he should stay with these people and he should do what he can for them, but it's been beaten out of him. It's the Hippocratic oath is dead inside him, and he just nods quietly and picks up his medic's bag and still clenching the blanket around him, just kind of nods some more and then kind of falls in line.
Then follow me, Doctor. We have to get him better clothes. You'll not look the part in those wet old things. Let's get you changed. Get you a good rest somewhere warm, and you can begin your work.
Thank you.
Welcome, he says, and pats you on the shoulder before leading you out of the trenches. And it's as you're leaving that on the edge you see one of the injured that you've been treating. Their brother's still infected, gangrenous. You've been dealing with the infection the best you can, but it needs a lot more treatment. You could deal with it, but you need time. And it's as you're leaving these trenches, as a small respite from the dead is taking place, that he spots you. And the young man of only around 17, bright-eyed, shaved head, just like the rest of them. In the penal corpse, you remember just for robbing a loaf of bread. He was only a kid when he was taken, and stares at you as you begin to leave. Where are you going? Doctor, it's not, you can't go out there. You'll be shot. Or worse, the animals will get you.
Well, and he looks, and then he looks at the guy who's leading him away.
And he stops for a moment and kind of looks over to you. I'll be over the ridge. Don't take too long, Doctor. Time's wasting, he says, and turns and leaves. Very calmly walking out.
The doctor goes back and starts dispatching the worst of the cases, the ones that are going to turn, basically with the bayonet that he has. He just starts just taking them out as fast as he can. He hooks the kid up with like the last of his saline drip with the penicillin, and just kind of tells him to lay back, and he gives him the blanket.
And the young boy kind of looks up at you again. Thanks, Doctor. I don't know what we'd do without you. I can't. Maybe we'll see you on the other side.
You'll do the same with me or without me. And in his head, the sentence the sentence in his head finishes, "We're all going to die." But he doesn't say it out loud. He tries to...
I mean, if you're being called back, maybe the rest of us will. Maybe this is it. Maybe we've reclaimed it.
Maybe. And he like pats his head.
You be safe, Doctor.
And, you too. And he leaves him the bag, the medical bag with him.
And you remember his name as you leave him the bag and as you saw him for the last time before you left those trenches? Adam, you remember. The name sticks clear.
Okay.
Bright young lad. Used to speak about home often before the plague. And as you depart those trenches, you see on the other side the swarm of forms approaching ever so slowly, the undead, the animates, that took only a reprieve for a while to feed on the dead that had already fallen before making their way towards the trenches. The penal corpse, the first line of defense, they said. In reality, it was much more bait to get them in position. And you leave with this other gentleman who begins to take you southwards, away from the trenches.
As he sees the like either in shell fire or lightning or whatever kind of light that he sees the animates coming in, it glints and you can see the tear, running from his purple eyes, and he kind of walks faster over the hill, and in his head he's just screaming to himself.
And you did the whole way as you saw the thing overrun. As you arrived on the outskirts to the tents, the very nice medical tents set up far back, and you did see the swarm overtaking the trenches, the fire of shells, the fire of gunfire, only short, before they began to flood into the trenches, where the rest of the artillery force let loose their own fire. But that wasn't the last time you saw Adam. But we'll not talk about that one this time, Doctor. That memory's far too different. And you're back in the dining room again. You find yourself sat, having just talked about eating rats, remembering the last time you ate one, in those trenches.
And he quickly wipes away, tilts his mop of hair down and wipes away a tear real quick. And says no more.
Would I notice that?
Would we?
Give me a wit check for at least the two of you on the opposite side of the table, Miss Fairchild and Delilah, in this case.
19.
7.
You've got too much food invading your vision. However, Delilah, you notice it. It's very subtle. It's away from the rest. Luckily on your side, as you're at the other head of the table, it's in his right, and you're across that side, as you see a stray tear before it's wiped away immediately.
And everyone else seems to be just chatting amongst themselves by this particular point? Or, yeah, she thinks about it and will kind of pretend she didn't notice for now. At least to save him his pride. He did turn away, so. So, what's the plans for the rest of you? Then, Tilly, you're with me, of course, until your date. No take-backsies. That dress was quite expensive.
Papa and I are meeting with the Queen this evening.
My goodness.
The Queen?
Yes.
Oh no.
I'm rather worried. I thought you were doing this in jest, but now I'm actually worried for the fate of this country. Excellent.
Now the question is, if you do take over, Magdalena, do the nobility still keep their titles? I am quite worried for my husband.
It depends on what Papa wants, but I like you and your husband, so I would let you keep it.
Thank you. I like you too.
Yes, good.
This is what Dracula's like. I have no plan. Communism.
That's just too real, man.
It's the rich.
The doctor approves.
Have you seen this new thing I found? This guillotine is very fun.
Oh,
It's all the rage in France.
walk at that end and catch all blood. It was a great plan.
Still,
God.
despite your headcanons of
Yes.
Papa.
I am sure that Papa is going to maybe attempt, because of all the animates you all have here is a big problem. He is probably going to try to do this with as little bloodshed of food source as possible, so perhaps he is going to negotiate terms. We will see.
That
Do any of you wish to
reasonable.
be here for the historic event?
I'm
I
sorry
could
my
not
night
be
is taken.
further away.
It's probably good.
Yes, I have something to speak with my husband about regarding our fathers. So, unfortunately, until I let my courage go, and I should not have an excuse to postpone any longer. Really.
And it's about that time that he comes back in. And you hear the door go, and you hear Teddy run upstairs away, and you hear your husband walk in the door as he sort of takes off his jacket, hands it to a servant, and then looks around and goes, Delilah?
Excuse me for a moment. She
I'm
kind
home.
of picks herself up and will like kind of run as quickly as she can to go hug him and give him a kiss.
And you
Welcome
do,
home,
he smiles.
darling.
Yes, I'm glad to be back. I've been doing my rounds around the different estates. Did you know that the rather peculiar business has been going on in the city? It's been interesting catching up with all the gossip.
What type?
It's been rather interesting, noble talk, drama. There's been some marriages proposed and the like, some broken. There's been some
Yes.
deaths. There's been some births. There's been a lot of things going on. There's also some interesting developments in the trading sectors. It's quite interesting. Teddy was very bored, but he was a very good boy.
That's wonderful to hear. She
Also,
kind of pulls his head.
the heir of the Dan Meyer Estate, the current lady of the estate, has returned home from York, of all places. Most peculiar thing, I rather recall that one of my favorite engineers is still there. I think we should probably pick him up at some point.
If you wish, darling.
Perhaps.
Though, if you have some
I'm sure
time
it's
tonight
fine.
or supper-
It's with the north. I don't believe they have as many animates there. At least that's the rumors.
Of course. I do enjoy the pasties from up north. Perhaps we should go. But after dinner tonight, do you mind if we spoke about this more in detail? I have some guests over right
Well,
now.
that reminds me, I've got us some tickets to an event, actually. He says, and sort of takes out some tickets for the same event that you got Tilly's. Oh, you have booth
very
seats, of course.
Do you mind if we get some binoculars, extra strength binoculars, my love?
Well, they'll be in the
There
booth.
is a
You'll
very
need them to
separate
see the
show I'd love
correctly.
She grins a bit. Well, you know what this means. She kind of smiles very brilliantly. Perhaps after the show then. There's some very interesting matchmaking I would love to tell you about. Well, you've been busy.
Right.
with
I'm
the
sure there
other
is.
body-
I'm sure you've been very busy with that. Anyway, I have some work to do. Teddy
I
is
come
going to go and
across
play.
the corner. I'm like,
Ah.
hello, Mr. Berkeley. It's lovely to see you. Would you
Good
happen to hear
afternoon, Miss
any...
Magdalena.
Yes, good afternoon. Would you happen to have heard anything about Lord Archibald Barclay while you were out?
Oh, yes, Archie. Yes, I've heard a few things about
Yes.
him. He's on a trip right now, isn't he? Visiting a lady of some sort. I'll have to recall.
Please do.
Yeah, Delilah just quickly hides her face, surprise behind her face.
I
And she'll kind of whisper
I
to her
find
husband. She'll whisper to her husband, "Please tread carefully, my love. That's her lover."
Well, shouldn't she, though?
Yes.
Oh, my love. I forget sometimes. You're so socially awkward. I love you, but why?
Look, I don't entirely understand, but if you must know, I'll have to recall the name, but I can tell you later. I can tell you later about the name.
Please
The
do.
very least.
Yes, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yes. Very important lady, I think. Very rich, beautiful, apparently. Yes. I'm sure whatever it is, it's fine.
Chokes a bit.
I'm sure Archibald will have a lovely time. I've heard they're very, very nice. Very friendly.
I'm sure.
Their name does still elude me. I should know it, but I have other things on my mind. I have some more sketches to put together.
I'm sure. Well, when it comes to mind, please let me know.
Of course I will.
I'm sure I'll be by. For the New Year's Eve party? Yes?
Yes, we're having one of those. It's already New Year's Eve. I always forget. I was trapped in that mirror so long. He looks very distant.
Yeah, I kind of stroke his cheek a bit to bring him back to the present again.
Yes, of course. I have a few things to get in place, and I need a few more sketches to do. I've got a few more schematics to work with, but I hope you all have a lovely day. And yes, I'll be in my workshop. Doctor, I'll have some business for you later. Funny story, the Lovell Society's head has come into town. They want to see some of the latest inventions of London. We may be putting forward a few for their review, but not the good stuff, preferably. I'd like your opinion on it, given your previous knowledge of them, let's say. Oh, also, your pay package is coming. It will be backdated.
Whenever you need my opinion, let me know, but I would advise against doing business with them.
Yeah, July just gonna take a step back and just swoons over how smart her husband is. Like, oh.
And he smiles, nods at you all, and sort of bows his head slightly politely. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Please let me know if there's anything else you need, food, money, whatever. I'll be in my workshop. Important things.
Honey, please don't forget to take at least some water with you. You always forget.
I'll ask a servant later, he says, and gets going. He won't.
And after he walks out, I turn to Delilah and I'm like, is there anything you don't mind if it's broken? I need to break something right now.
Yes, I have a few old dresses from when I brought back from America. They're not very useful anymore. I don't wear them. They're not fashionable enough. She kind of goes and is like, you can tear those apart, and we'll direct her to one of her wardrobes for her old clothes.
And I think she just closes the door, and you hear like a screech. And then she comes out a moment later, and there's just tatters in the room behind.
Yeah, I look down at those. I'm like, I'm gonna get Ned to get some more replacements for me. Technically, it is his fault. She kind of thinks about it. Well, so how are you feeling, Magdalena?
Oh, much better, thank you.
I'm sure whatever it was, it's just a purely business meeting.
Oh, I'm sure, because he would know that if it wasn't, that he would be dead. So,
yeah. Well, if you are very worried about that, you could just marry him.
I'm not worried. What? No, Papa has to approve of anyone I marry, and so far no one has met the qualifications. He's murdered them all. He says, Magdalena, you must marry a man as powerful as myself, but the problem is no one is. So, I wait.
Oh.
And as you say, I wait. Time passes. And we find ourselves at our evening. Dr. Varukht and Miss Fairchild, you have rather empty nights. What do you wish to do with them? The others are all filled.
I would have said something and commented on the way out to Magdalena, that something along the lines of, if you do find yourself with this Archibald in a state of non-existent. I would appreciate if you would leave him for study.
If there was anything left, I could arrange it.
Would be much
I'm sure
appreciated.
he's smarter than that, though, so I'm sure it will be fine.
The doctor does not look like it'll be fine, but he nods and bows and he says, "Good luck with your realignment of this silly monarchy."
Oh yes, thank you. I'm sure. Would you like to come? I think we have extra.
No, I should probably work. Thank you.
All right. Well, if I have body, we'll bring. How would you like me to bring body by? Is there a back door?
Yes, and he explains the alleyway and how there's the drop off and whatnot for his secret morgue.
You might be getting a drop off tonight, depending on how things go.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It could be the queen. I don't know. It just depends.
I would very much like not to listen to this. I won't be privy to any of this information.
I was assuming it was a crossing or
as we were like walking out.
Yeah, as you're
like,
walking out and going into the gardens and the like, I imagine nobody's hearing this but the two of you with this particular conversation. What about you, Miss Fairchild?
Miss Fairchild, having completed one of her Upper London contracts in the gap between Christmas and New Year's, will probably make her way to Lower London and see if anyone has... They're not so much contracts because no one can really afford to pay her, but if anyone has any vigils they need sat, and just quietly make inquiries about Mr. Macready. Anyone knew him? They're both of a certain age, so it wouldn't look too suspicious.
It's as you are making these sort of investigations and the like, you do keep hearing various rumours such as, oh yeah, Mr. Macready. He's drunk that hangs around the railway, isn't he? Railway pub. Yeah, he's a local there. Goes there every weekend. Every weekday. He goes there every day. Or he did. Not been around much recently. Wonder why that is.
Quite impressive to be able to keep up such a habit without permanent employment. Money being what it is.
Well, yeah, there is that, but he has a tab, doesn't he? So it's all right. No, the Robbie's boys, they're quite lenient with the tabs around here. I mean, they don't pay, it's bad for you, but you can rack it up as much as you like. Just means a few favours. Think it might have been a similar deal. Don't really know. I imagine them. They'll know.
Well, thank you, and I'm sorry to hear about your aunt. I'll be back in a few days.
It's all right. She were a hag anyway.
Fair. And she will leave like a couple of shilling with anyone she speaks to, and then we'll head over to the railway club.
And you head over towards the railway pub. And eventually you do find it, the old, disused, closed railway in the distance, and beside it, a rather large pub. You find your way in, and the place looks booming once again. Business is once restored. Didn't take them long to open back up again. You still see the remnants of the gunshots that had hit the building and around. They're still there, almost displayed proudly, as you see a lot of them, even some of them still very much a little bit injured still. As they're sort of sat, slings and things like that, as they're sat there just kind of nodding and smiling at you.
I will look for Mr. Carr.
You head in, and as you enter, you see a barmaid behind the counter, one you recognize, who directs you to his office. She says it's you, so he'll see you. Says just give him the knock.
I give him the knock.
You knock to the tune of Rule Britannia.
Yep, love it.
And you hear come in.
I will go in and find myself a seat pretty immediately. Mr. Carr.
You see the large man, again, sort of behind his desk, smiles at you. You can see he's still got some bandages on him from when he was rather rudely handled by the Americans. A couple bruises still. His nose is slightly crooked still, though it's been popped back in place as he kind of sits behind the desk and gives you a good grin as the large Yorkshireman stares at you. Welcome back.
Business seems to be doing well.
Aye, it is, yeah. It's going all right. What about
You
you?
recovered quickly.
How's it going with you? I imagine business is getting good for you.
Christmas, busy time, but
Aye,
it
I know.
is. I
Delivering presents
unfortunately,
takes quite a while, doesn't it? Especially when you can't walk right on your right leg.
yes, there is that.
Aye.
Fortunately, I managed to make my rounds fairly well. Unfortunately, I'm in a business that doesn't seem to run out.
Well, I imagine there's always around for you, so that makes sense. But what brings you to me? Imagine
Mr.
you're not just here for a
McCready.
social, as much as I'd be into that. Do you want a
Some
cuppa?
other time, perhaps. Yes, thank you.
All right, he kind of looks out. Janie, get us a cup of tea, and one for Miss Fairchild as well, please. And you see the barmaid kind of go, all right, Mr. Carr, and then leave. And the door behind her. Right, so tell me your business then, what brings you to me? Mr. McCready, you said, yeah?
Alan McCready.
The old codger.
Yes.
Big beard,
not
Irish
that-
bloke.
Not
Scottish,
that
maybe.
old. Thank you, young man.
Oof. I mean, he was like in his 50s. It's pretty old.
Which is not that old. Thank you.
You're kidding me, most people die at 30.
And some people don't.
10 that I know of, but all right, well, I'll live with you in your imaginary world, Miss Fairchild.
Mhm.
Take me through it.
I'm told he had a tab here.
Oh, he does have a bloody tab here, yes. It's about the length of London, I think.
And we all know that when you can't pay your tab with money, you pay in kind. I just want to know what kind he was paying you in, given I'm not sure an out-of-work miner is your usual fare around here.
Aye, well, I mean, miners, well, back home, there's quite a lot of mines, so I felt a bit of kinship with the lad. Olden, obviously, but, my dad was a miner back in day, and his dad before him. So, he has got a tab, but I didn't cash in any favours. You could
Very
say
kind
he
of
had
you.
a tab that was on the house. Call it respect for old veterans or whatever. But not the actual ones. They pay good money for booze. A lot of it.
It's a dead end I did not wish to run into. I don't suppose you know anything about his death, witnesses, anyone seen anything, because...
You mean the many stab wounds he had? Like 30 of them, wasn't it?
30, exactly, apparently.
He nods. I might know something about that. See, I thought maybe it were the Americans having a go, but it's not their MO. It's
Far
not
too
their
subtle
kind of
for
thing to
them.
do. Too subtle, not enough guns. He says and gestures to the sort of little still gunshot like holes that are in his office. Needless to say, thought we were them again. Want them. So I'm thinking of is it. See, I've been looking around. There's apparently been a couple weird things going on. Some people going missing. Some of them coming back. Seemingly the same, but not acting the same. One of our lads went missing. He came back, was around for a short time, seemed fine, seemed all right, started raving one day, threw himself off roof. Wasn't exactly good for business.
I imagine not.
Took a while to scrub the blood and brains off the cobblestones.
Yes.
Point is, there is something going on. There's people going missing down here, Miss Fairchild. Most people won't notice, but it's my job to notice those who aren't noticed, those who are overlooked. Police aren't interested.
They
Sex
never are.
gangs. Of course they would. The Americans have got us all up in a bit of a hissy.
Yes.
And they ain't too keen after the whole fire incident. Bit of a spectacle, you know.
Yes. Very loud.
Aye.
How many people have gone missing, would you say?
Now are we speaking confirmed or are we speaking my suspicions, Mrs. Fairchild?
Start with one and then go on to the other.
Confirmed. About 6. Various people. Mostly people from the different warrens around. A couple of them urchins, couple of them sneak thieves, couple minor robbers. A couple of them apparently just owned a bakery. Bit weird. The rest of them I could understand. You know, they're going missing. It's probably something they've done, probably some business with the mates or something. Probably find them in the river or the Thames at some point. But the bakers, they didn't cost anybody. Did quite good pasties as well, but I guess they're not happening anymore.
Sad loss to us all. And your suspicions? How many?
My suspicions. There's been a lot of people wandering out of the low city recently, you see. A lot of reports of people leaving the city, which don't seem to ring true to me. Even if they tried, they'd get caught in the dead zone between the Death Watch and the wall. Exiting's one thing, but most people aren't even allowed that far. They're not going to risk having more animates out there. So to me, it seems suspicious that around 30 of them have gone. Now, sure, there's a lot of us down here, thousands. But that's quite a number.
That is no small amount.
Now, my other suspicion, a lot of those they are involved in the wars, or military in some way. Ex-Death Watch, ex-Undertakers, things like that. People who needed work. Seems they found a hirer, but maybe it wasn't what they were looking for. I hadn't seen him since I'd heard of him. Group of Undertakers, you know them, the types. Those ones that roam out into the wastes, got a license to do so. Find animates, kill them, bring back the Reds or whatever. Don't deal with their business. He nods. We had 3 of them pass through. Came for a couple drinks here. Seemed the sort that you'd think would do that sort of thing. You know, a bit boisterous. Hard lads. Hard as nails. Cold. But distant look in their eye. Didn't see him since that day. They said they had an employer, said they had some promising work, and they were drinking to celebrate. Good pay, they said. Not seen him since. And that was a week ago. And people like that, they don't just disappear without a fight, without signs of it. So, maybe work found them.
Seems likely. Those who you say come back, and they come back different. How many of them have there been? Apart from your poor lad, obviously.
In my knowledge, only the one. The rest haven't, as far as I'm aware. But I don't know everything that goes on down here. It's a big city. A lot of nooks and crannies and shadows to hide in. It could be 10, could be 100. Could be 1, could be none. Could be overblowing it all, couldn't we? And at that point, the cups of tea come. They're set down along with the biscuit. And then Jeannie leaves.
The biscuit's gone.
Yeah. And he texts us and dunks it in. And then takes a bite.
Sip my tea. That is rather more than I had when I walked in. So thank you for that.
I'll give you that. How are you doing anyway? You holding up all right? I had a lot happened at the auction.
Things became difficult.
You're telling me. Well.
But we have it in hand, to a degree. I have it in hand. Whether I keep it that way remains to be seen.
Well, if you ever need to talk, you know where I am. Always happy to have a cuppa. He nods.
I appreciate it.
Not a problem. So, you wouldn't have seen the old boss of the Americans about, have you? Mickey.
I may have.
And whereabouts are they? See, I got some getting even to do. Only on account of they messed up my pretty face. You know how hard it is to show off this beautiful mugger man. He smiles a bit at you.
There is
Still
a conflict of interest, I'm afraid.
Always in the raw ways. If it helps, I won't act on it until it's time to. Won't want to harm any of you or yours. I just want to know where they are. Keep tabs on them.
I have your word?
Of course you do. See, Miss Fairchild, you deal with our dead. Of course, I'm going to look after that.
Lord Berkeley is in Upper London. He's got an in with some of the staff, and I think he's been hiding out there. But I have interests with that family, and I would not see it moved upon until some distance is gained.
So be it. He nods.
Thank you.
As long as I know where they are and they aren't doing you any harm, they can stay there for now. But if he steps down in Lower London, he's mine.
Oh, feel free. I have no wish to see that man walking around any more than he has been. But
Good.
he is
Good.
connected, and those connections, unfortunately, mean something to me.
All right. He nods. Well, you finish your cuppa and you get on with your evening. I'm sure you've got to go home and see to a few things.
That I do. Thank you, Mr. Carr.
Aye.
A pleasure
No
as
worries.
always.
Also, letter was well written. But I'm glad it didn't have to come to that. For what it's worth.
Yet, Mr. Carr. It has not
And
come
I'll
to
save
that.
a letter for a rainy day.
Yeah.
How's that then?
Thank you.
That way, if it happens again, you won't have to write another letter, and then I won't have to have a collection of sad letters from Miss Fairchild saying how she's going to die. As amusing as it would be to have that, I can't
It
really
was
fit it
not
in with all
that
my love letters.
dramatic. It was not that it was not. Thank
It was
you.
pretty dramatic. He smiles at you.
As I said, things were difficult.
Aye.
Don't laugh at an
Well,
old
yeah.
woman. It ain't kind.
Oh, I'm not laughing. I'm taking it very serious. Deathly serious, he says and takes a sip. Now then, you might want to go and rest them feet, get them soaked or something. Old lady gives you a smile.
She'll use her canes and get to her feet. Thank you for the tea.
He nods and goes and opens the door for you.
And then I will leave slowly on my canes. You whippersnapper. Yeah.
And you hear the door shutting behind you, and you make your way out. It's late when you exit, dark.
I will head back to Upper London and my little apartment.
And you head back. It takes a while, but you make it home. Havelock is there and safe and sound. And you get in, and the small child is already asleep. It's late. And everything is quiet and safe. For now, it seems at least things are still quiet for you. But the amount of people missing is concerning. And the thought of many more, even more so. And Magdalena and Dr. Verrucht. Magdalena, you're getting ready to see the Queen, of course, but Dr. Verrucht, what do you do this evening as you make your way home? Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. Big day.
Yeah, having had a couple of flashbacks today, I think he really tries to focus on his work. Unless as he gets there and starts digging into things, it starts to be a trigger mechanism.
It would be, yes. And can you give me a willpower check?
Oh, God dang it.
See how many of these flashbacks hit you at once right now.
No. 8 and 3 is like 11 plus it was will. I had 2 or 3. 11, 12, 13. I gotta put some points in that.
Okay, Doctor, we will get back to you as you sink yourself back into another flashback. Magdalena, on the other hand. You were prepared, you would rest. Your father arrives at the
I'm
as the
wearing my
sun goes
finest.
down.
I
He
had
almost
Irene
appears at
help
your
me.
door.
Yeah, Irene helped me get prepared for in my finest. Not because I'm seeing the queen, but because Papa. So, and then yes,
you're,
I'm
you're
ready.
getting adjusted as Irene's like, you need to make sure that you're not wearing your cape correctly. It needs to be like this. There we go.
That is how it is. You didn't move it at all. You just fidgeted it.
Stop. Still. She adjusts it by like a millimeter and then takes a step back and looks. No, it still does not go. It'll be fine. It isn't perfect, but it'll be fine. And remember, no mentions of our secret.
I know I have not mentioned it to anyone.
Good, says the vampire. That is your sitter.
Yes.
And as for the rest, apparently you were moody and you were seeing yourself around the city, flouncing around, making everybody sad.
What? I
it
was
true?
brooding. You knew I was brooding. I have been brooding for past 3 days.
I know you have. I have not
I
seen
did not
anything
know the
different from
brooding
you.
was so contagious.
Apparently so. And I would say maybe you should watch your brooding when you have kid.
Yes, chicken boy.
They found Chicken Boy asleep in middle of chicken pen. He crushed 5 eggs. Eggs valuable.
Yeah, they are valuable. Ugh,
Was
I
covered
forget
in
he
it. We had to
own this
give
house.
him a cloth. That was awkward. They had to run a bath.
Yes, I think he
Disgusting.
should get them more, probably at least once a week. Is that how often? Yes,
Maybe
it's just so.
once a
we've not
month?
had more-
Is this
more
often
than
enough?
enough.
I don't want to keep doing that. The buckets, they were multiple trips. It was
We can
tedious.
we can teach him to make his own bath, and then he can clean himself up.
I mean, I live forever, but this seemed to take too long.
Eh.
It felt like I was using too many
The
centuries
mortals,
of my
they
lifetime.
take so much time to do such menial things. It's just, do they not realize the time they have is very
Ugh.
small?
He says, and it's about that time that Cooper is stood in the doorway.
Oh, hello, Cooper.
The small
I
boy
heard
just
you
kind of looks at you, a bit of eggs.
Heard you had a nap today.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had a nap. It was good. But
It's good.
I got eggs. So if you want food later, I can cook you some eggs.
Maybe in the morning. We are
That's
going
the
to
best
have a
time for eggs,
visitor.
actually. I think you'll find that's the best place and time for eggs is the morning. So I'll get you some prepared in the morning. The golden one
We are
later for
going
you.
to have a visitor tonight, Cooper. My papa is coming, and you need to be on your best behavior. He is a
I
very
will.
stern man.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be fine. I'm sure we can get along.
Okay.
If
Yes,
it's your dad, I'm sure he's nice.
he is the best.
Besides, it'd be good to meet, like my not granddad.
Yes, like you're not granddad. Why don't you go check on the
Excited.
chickens, Cooper?
Yeah, I will do it. I've left him for 5 minutes. He says and just
Okay.
leaves and goes back to the chicken.
Let's try not to sleep in the chicken coop again. Okay.
He's hopeless. He's going to die. Irene says as she looks at you, arms crossed in the corner.
Well, Papa likes things that are valuable, and if he's only chicken boy, which he is, he will let
Well,
him
you
live.
say this like your papa didn't spend, I don't know, many years impaling people for fun.
Oh, yes, he does. There are so many other people to impale. I say, please do not impale chicken boy. He might
I
not
know.
impale.
But he's been out of the habit for a while. Maybe he's not so impaling
has
anymore.
It's true. I do not know. We are we are going to visit the queen, so we might have impaled queen later. I do not know.
No? Delicious.
I think it would be good. Yes.
Good. Anyway, he's here.
Okay. Yes. And I just.
And you
like,
do
one
hear a
quick
knock on your
look at the
door.
mirror,
A very loud
and-
dung, dung, dung.
I'm sure me and Irene both just like inhuman
You
speed.
do. Irene stands impeccably dressed, beautifully presented, hauntingly beautiful in the doorway. She leans on the wall slightly.
I open the door.
She's like, no. She kind of adjusts herself, throws her hair over her shoulder slightly and goes, no.
Oh. Then I open the door.
You open the door and outside is your father, Vlad Dracul. As he stands, hair short, swept back, oiled, in his cloak, his very out-of-fashion cloak.
It's about as in fashion as mine.
He's got his sword on his side.
Mm-hmm.
He's got facial hair at the moment, it seems. He's got sort of a bit of a mustache and a bit of a beard going on. It's all very well trimmed and oiled. He looks very nice. And he stands there outside as lightning crashes in the background and illuminates him. And he goes, Will you want to invite me in?
Please come in, Papa.
Thank you, he says, and almost floats over the threshold.
Mm-hmm.
He looks around. This is a quaint place you have here. It is good. Good way to hide yourself from the cattle.
Yes.
Painter, I have heard. I have seen your
Yes.
work. Many more cat heads.
Yes, they are very funny.
I
People,
like the human
they are very
faces on them.
serious. Yes.
It takes a sort of focus to be able to get them so lifelike and yet not. You are doing well with your art studies, Magdalena.
Thank you,
But what
Papa.
of killing my rivals? How many
Well,
have you killed to this day? It's 3, 4, perhaps 6, 20 even. I have many rivals. If you killed
so
one
many
at
people.
least.
yes, definitely, Papa.
Which ones? I gave
Well,
you the list before you
you
left.
Yes, you did
Written
give
on the
me.
skin of a peasant flayed in summer. My favorite.
Yes, your favorite, Papa. I have it stretched out next to my bed. It's like so I can look at it as I fall asleep every night.
Good, good. I wish to see this, to see how many you have crossed off in these many years since you left our country. Before we see Queen.
Of course, Papa. Would you like a tour of Full House?
Yes, I would. Is that human I smell?
Yes, we have a chicken boy.
Is this some sort of like strange version of werewolf where they are chicken?
No, not quite.
Shame.
You know
Sounds
how
like
there
would be
is-
good snack.
It would be good snack. You know I have to eat actual food other than people, Papa, and chickens
Yes,
very
of
hard
course.
to
I
come
forget
by.
about your downfalls, about eating.
I know it's very inconvenient, but chickens are very good food and hard to come by. So I have Chicken Boy to make sure chickens keep making more chickens.
Oh,
Like Stable Boy, but
he is like Valenki, the stable keep, who
Yes.
died tragically in horse accident.
yes.
It is a shame the horse ate him.
It really is. I was not expecting it. But
I didn't know that it was strange horse, I remember. Took a long time to get shreds out of teeth.
yes. Well,
Hired new Valecki, didn't matter. You did notice difference.
we have Chicken Boy. His name is Cooper, and he's very easy to remember because of the chicken coops. So we keep him around. So I have.
I already tired of this. Can I have Tor to tell me of how many rivals you have killed?
Yes. Well, just the other day.
How about
You
we
remember-
start with that? I wish to see my tablet of flesh. It has been a while since I have seen him.
Of course, Papa. Just up the stairs this way.
Good. He says
And
as he
as I
follows you
found
up the
other
stairs.
people who oppose you, I have added them to a list and then killed them.
Good.
Yes.
This is the work I expect of my daughter. He says as you walk upstairs, and you go and take him around your house, and you do take him to your room.
I do.
How many names have you crossed off, and do you still have? In fact, you know what? Give me a very quick intelligence check, please, to see if you managed to keep it all these years.
Okay. It was a gift from her father, so I think she would have kept that pretty highly. An intellect check. Oh, I actually have it on this character. Thank God. Okay. 19.
That's brilliant. It's a crit one. As I'm going to cash in my crit one that I got donated kindly earlier
on yourself.
in this
You have
session.
to use those on yourself. If it's not on a player, you gotta use it on yourself. That's how the rules
Aw.
work.
Fine.
Yeah. Suck
In which
it.
case, all right, I'll still activate it then. I've got to commit to this. Your father walks into your room.
Yeah.
Looks around and sort of doesn't check himself out in the mirror as he can't. He's a vampire.
Yeah, that's why I got in a portrait painting.
And as he does, Cooper walks in and bumps into Dracula.
No.
And you see him sort of off balance as he's checking himself out in the mirror, not seeing the child coming, trips, and you see him land on the stake that is still in your room.
I think I just pick up Cooper and throw him out of the room.
He lands with a thunk.
And I immediately go to help Papa.
You go to Papa, who has a stake through his heart.
Pull it out.
And you see him go, "That was not expected.
No. Papa, I have
Maybe
to
we arrange a meeting with Queen."
Oh. I can't. Don't worry, I will get you someone to eat. It will feel much better. We need takeout now.
And Irene runs away to get takeout as your father lays on the ground needing food before he expires. And Cooper just looks very guilty. And we'll leave you there as you deal with that for now. And meanwhile, Tilly, you get ready for your date. Delilah, you get ready for yours. You get dressed, and you are picked up in carriages, and you are driven to your show. As you arrive, you do catch the sight of each other. Though, Tilly, you're met at the event by your own date, a Mr. Lucifer Grimmel. As he stands in his suit, very impeccably dressed outside, there is no line to this show. Not yet. It's early. And you get VIP access for what you've bought. And he smiles at you and offers you his arm. And Delilah, you are taken in arm by your husband as he leads you out of the carriage. And you see the theatre, the only one remaining in the entirety of London, at least in this grandeur, ahead of you as you begin to make your way in.
Yeah, I think about like the new musical I'm gonna make and how I'm gonna make sure that upper class will one day enjoy musicals. As you know, she walks like arm in arm with her husband. Who's like, "Honey, look, that's the girl I'm sitting. What do you think of the gentleman?" And Tilly.
I believe we're meant to be here for a show, not for spying.
Oh, I am here for both the show and to. It's not spying, my love. It's watching over them.
So spying under another name, yes. Spying with extra steps, very good.
So what do you think of him then? That man?
Well, I must profess to you, Delilah, I must apologize. I am not really in the opinion of men.
Well, it's more just, what is he really? I've told you a little bit about him, have I not? It's like kind of whispering, murmuring.
And you're whispering and murmuring as you enter conspiratorially. And meanwhile, Tilly, you are walking with Mr. Grimmel. So, do you know anything about this show? He says as he walks with you. Brilliant.
Nothing
We're both in
at
the
all.
same experience then.
I've
Never been
The
to it.
Nutcracker!
Thank you, random voice. You know, I thought there'd be no shouting in this theatre, but I'll be surprised again.
I think it's some localized shouting.
Yeah.
Though it seems Miss Berkeley has come along for the evening.
Yes. Hello. It's amazing to bump into you again, Miss Berkeley.
Yes,
Lord Berkeley.
how very much of a coincidence.
Indeed. And you notice that the rouge you've put on her cheeks earlier is gone.
I feel offended, but it's okay. I've already put on lavender powder on her, so it's fine.
Yeah. Everything else is there, just the rouge is gone.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. She's got lipstick on. It's already scandalous enough. I'm pleased with my creation. By the way,
Okay.
I actually thought of exactly the type of dress she has. A lot of
Sure,
effort
go
was
ahead.
put into.
Give us the details of that before we go into grim, dark flashbacks of Dr. Baruch before we call it for the evening.
Yes. So for Tilly, she actually thought it's actually not as good as she wanted it. It was an emergency commission, so it took 3 months instead of the usual half a year for anything to be made. And it wasn't anything flashy, unfortunately, because Delilah was thinking about Tilly's image, and she's got more of like a lavender kind of dress with white little lily of the valley patterns embroidered in silk on it. As I said, it's kind of understated and not exactly Delilah's favorite, but it suits Tilly, of course, along with her perfume, her gloves, and her new shoes, and a hand flower. She went very overboard.
What am I
I mean,
supposed
it
to
seems it.
do? She ends
Oh,
up
no,
just
forcing
spreading
it
it through her hat and just going, that's fine.
It works enough. I'm sure it'll be fine. Besides, I think we've got a booth. We shouldn't really be needing to. You won't be poking people in the eye with it, at least.
It's not that big, is it?
It's a rather massive flower. He smiles at you
Good
slightly.
hand flower.
Good job nobody sat behind us then, isn't it?
Indeed. Though I would say, he says as you walk in beyond the doors so that they can't see you for a moment.
Hmm.
They are going to stare the entire time.
What? Them? Those two outside?
Delilah.
Well, yes, I know that.
She has
I
a
know
look
that.
about her as if a cat seeing a mouse that is particularly injured.
Yes, I've been subject to that look for at least the last week. And it's quite harrowing, actually.
Well,
Not that I want to bother you with that. We're here to have a good time, so...
if it helps,
go.
one of my best times is hearing people's woes.
That's incredibly sad, Mr. Grimoire. Leave that
A
at the
bit of a
door,
sadist.
shall you?
He says and smiles a little bit.
You can leave that at the door as well, she says as she goes to get snacks.
I thought it would be the appropriate place to do it, given we're in the Nutcracker.
I don't think it's that kind of play. I hope it's not that kind of play.
He smiles at you slightly and then
Good
stops.
Lord.
I'm
Oh,
sure we'll see, Miss Tilly.
I don't...
And you're led into your booth, and so are you, Delilah. And the show begins. And as you witness a beautiful show, or at least the beginnings of it, Dr. Varukt, in your lab back home as you're working, you suddenly begin to have thoughts about what you saw back then. At first, the work was good. You had your lab set up. You began your work into the study of reanimation, a task assigned to you. To see how far things could be pushed with animates before they would expire. To figure out that threshold between life and death and what makes them. And you got shipments upon shipments over time. But you always remembered your first. As you set up your lab and you sat inside, you would do a shipment. Some of the more covert members of your scientific group were to search the battlegrounds in order to find some good specimens to use. And as you sat in your tent, your desk set up, your tables ready, your cages set to hold the things, the wheelbarrow came outside, and you heard many noises of groans and very garbled noises coming from outside as a completely covered soldier wearing a black gas mask walked in. He closed the slit behind him and nodded at you, wheeling in a barrow full of bodies. And you always remember inside that tangle a face that stared back at you from the top. You recognized it a moment. Adam. The same face that you saw before the animates swarmed. Still alive. Or at least undead.
The doctor's, hand is shaking, and he, he's a combat surgeon, and he's one of the finest surgeon in the world. So he tries to, focus. The work has to be done. The whole time internally screaming about this boy, this, who was he? Where'd he come from? What are his parents? Where are they now? This whole rabbit hole of guilt and self-loathing for leaving this boy behind. Yeah, I think that he does the work, but it's that kind of thing where it's mechanical. that he's going through the motions. And what was I working towards with these bodies?
Your experiments at the time were to see how far the animates could be pushed before they expired, see what could be removed, what still was living when detached, things such as that. It wasn't a pleasant experience. And you did have others. Did you operate on them as well? Or did you not?
I would imagine that I followed the work if that was where it went.
Okay.
Because you never know. We could stumble upon a cure. We could stumble upon a way to destroy them with sound or chemicals or anything else that knowledge is power. And he would continue to do that to try to save the next one. The next Adam won't have to die because of the work, because of what he figures out, because of the science.
And can you give me another willpower check, please? This time with concentration. But this is going to be a very difficult one.
All right. Oh, you're killing me. Oh, okay.
Maybe.
No, you're not killing me. You're not killing me. Maybe. 18, 19,
Okay.
20.
Brilliant. You push it back as you do keep to your thoughts. The next time there won't have to be another Adam. There won't have to be another one of these. You can work towards it. And it doesn't twist you. You don't gain a new corruption. And it's as you come back to real life now, away from those experiments, away from the trenches, away from the reclamation those many years ago, an older doctor now, not as young as before, that you sit in your lab, your small, dingy lab, in comparison to what you used to have. You look around and you spot that artificial womb. Maybe you don't need to worry about the next one. Maybe you can make something new. And as that thought rings in your mind, we'll leave it there for today and for our premiere of Season 2 of That's Curious. So thank you very much, everybody, for playing. Thank you to everybody who's been watching, and especially those who've donated and subscribed and retweeted. Thank you so much for that. It's always fun to see the interaction with all of you on stream. It warms my heart, so thank you very much. But we're going to go around. We're going to have people, what their favorite moment was today, and also let you know who they are and what they're working on, and anything that they've got that you should be excited for and check out. So we'll go the way that things currently are, which breaks the cycle of the Varuked being last. Varuked, you're up.
Woo! All right. Graybeard's Tavern. Check my Twitter schedule. I think I'm down to 5 shows a week now. So next up is tomorrow night, Damn It Barry's channel, and I will be over there doing Ghosts of Saltmarsh, where I play a gunslinging Warforged. Other than that, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but definitely check my Twitter. I repost everything I'm in and all the good stuff that my friends and such do, so look for it there.
Brilliant. And what was your favorite moment today?
Oh, favorite moment. Okay, so I loved the simple things, the little details. The corgi was really great. Just that he's getting fat. We're gonna have to take care of him. Just the little corgi moments where those little bits that kind of fall through the cracks that make these characters so real. That I love to bring the focus back to those so that they don't get forgotten.
Definitely. No, always fun to have those moments, and I'm really glad you enjoyed it. And thank you so much for playing, Greybeard. It's amazing to have you back, and Varuked is always fun to see where he's going to go with things. And speaking of fun, Tilly Griffiths.
Hello, I've been playing Tilly Griffiths, the ace detective. I'm Humbledore6 on Twitter. Favorite moment? Oh my god, the Doctor's flashbacks tore my heart out. I was sat there like, oh, oh, I could feel like tears. I had like that hot feeling under my eyes. It was amazing. I can't deal with that every session, but this is Death's Curious, so get used to it. You know, man/woman/other up. You know, gotta do this. I don't think I'm working on anything particular. I'm working on passing my university degree, so I'll just be retweeting everything that everyone else is doing, and occasionally maybe posting something stupid about my day, like my dog like leaping at me, which is what's happening in game now as well. It follows me. I love it. Yes. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. It's been a blast.
Brilliant stuff, and it's always been fun to have you back. And speaking of fun, Magdalena.
Yes, Magdalena is the epitome of fun, and not at all doom, gloom, and brooding. So that was a blast. This was amazing. I've been missing this game so much, and I'm so happy we were able to start back up again today. Magdalena's favorite part was when her papa said he was proud of her in her art studies. My favorite part was Delilah trying to get her husband to not say anything when I asked about Archie. She was like, just don't say anything. And then sacrificing a dress to the cause of Magdalena's rage. It was cute. I feel like it was a little moment between them. I loved it. I can't wait for more. I also can't wait to find out who Archie's hanging out with on New Year's Eve, hopefully. Well, that'll be great. This has been Magdalena's very bad, terrible, awful, somewhat okay day. So, and the steak, oh my gosh, right through the heart. But at the same time, that's such a thing that would happen around her because of her cursed affliction. So it's probably not the first time, honestly.
No,
that's happened.
Probably not the first time that's happened.
Yeah, so you can catch me online at Laugh Love Lindy, where I have ever so slightly better luck most of the time than Magdalena. I play and GM a lot of tabletop RPGs, including every Monday and Tuesday on my channel. We have a once-a-month Aliens game and a once-a-month Teenagers from Outer Space game. You can also find me here wearing fangs again. I'm all fanged up this season because I'm playing Vampire the Masquerade on Tuesdays here on Encounter Roleplay. Best $18. They've lasted so long. These poor fangs. Hashtag worth it. But yeah, you can also find me elsewhere. I'm going to be starting on a Witcher campaign soon on Sweet and Salty Games, so keep an eye out for more info for that. It's going to be awesome.
Definitely keep an eye out for that. And Delilah.
I'm on a really good podcast called Tales from a Hollow World, and it's great. You should check it out.
It's really good. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that new episode just came out, and I might have listened to that and re-binged it. So I'm a bit distracted. Right, I'm Delilah, otherwise known as Lawyer Lark, though you can find me as Lark Lawyer on Twitter. It's Lawyer Lark on Instagram, where I'm a bit more active. On Twitter, though, I post drawings of my fan art for my private games or other games and anything D&D, and well, that's what I do. And on Instagram, I post pictures of my cat, who is now wearing a cone of shame. As for my favorite moment this session, okay. You know, I really like the time of Miss Fairchild just being badass. And just being a mood just the entire time. It's like, oh, it fits like a glove. I imagine it should fit like a dress. I'm like, and her cool, I'm talking to this roguish charmer guy, and she's just like, I'm a really cool grandma, and I'm just, oh, it was good. Also, thank you for not selling me out.
Brilliant stuff. And thank you very much for playing. And last but certainly not least, Miss Fairchild.
I kind of sold you out a little bit. Felt really bad about that. Hi, I'm Shakespeare. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Shakespeare. I am currently in... This is one of 2 games I'm in at the moment. The other is on Tuesday nights on Hollow's channel. I got it on the right side and everything. Where I'm playing a pirate void tiefling who is scared of their own shadow, but also kind of cool. We're currently fish. It's a whole thing. Check it out on Tuesdays. You can also find me this Saturday night on Scraticus Academy. We're playing a one-shot D&D 5e. It's going to be really, really fun. I'm playing a bugbear, which is exciting because I've never played one before. I just like big monstrous things. I also knit things. You can find all of my information about my knitty things on my Twitter. I knit things for oh yes, we have Dr. Volvert. Yeah. Who will be sent to you as soon as I have time. My favorite thing about this session, there were so many amazing things. Like for me personally, just the whole conversation with Robbie was hilarious and brilliant. But I have to say that Dracula being staked by tripping over and falling on a stake was just like my soul left my body with just how funny that image is. And then just throwing Cooper out like, okay, bye-bye. Just bowl the chicken boy out the door.
It was funny. Yeah, you yeeted Cooper. So, but yes, no, thank you so much, everybody, for playing. It's always a blast, and we will get in a moment to declaring the results of the corruption vote that's been going on in the background, which is a very interesting result today. But before then, yeah, I'm Hollowtail. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Hollowtail, where I do various RPG-themed videos. Recently, I've been incredibly lazy, and I've mostly not been doing how-to videos. I've been doing Tales from a Hollow World, which is a audio drama, actual play sort of podcast for the Savage Worlds role-playing game system, in which it's all based in my homebrew world that I've been developing for about 8 to 10 years roughly, of the Hollow World, which is where the name comes from. It's an absolute blast. If you want to have a listen, it's on my channel. There's 3 episodes currently up, and essentially if you want a bit of story and you want to fit it in your commute, it's only half an hour long at max, and it's very highly edited, so give it a go. Let me know what you think. Always happy to hear some thoughts on it. And aside from that, you can also find me on my own Twitch channel on this Saturday, which will be for Wanted Dead or Alive, which is my Deadlands game, which is ran by the brilliant Rocksteady Ska and has an amazing cast. And you can also, on Tuesday, find me on my own channel again when I run Mistborn, Pirates of Ravenloft, which features the brilliant Charlie Encounter roleplay, and also, of course, our good old Tilly Griffiths here and our Miss Fairchild. All of them are there, along with some other brilliant people, and it's an absolute blast. So come check that out on Tuesday. But until then, let's quickly do a little dramatic transition when I click the right buttons in a second. And we'll go to the cool screen that I like, because I want to show this off at least once. So you ready? Oh, there we go. Look at this sick fire. Love it. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Flame Room. We're here today to talk about who's got corruption. And this week we've done something a bit different. We've added an NPC to the mix, which normally I don't do. But I think in honor of Cooper, the boy that could, who impaled Dracula accidentally, we've added them to the list this week. And it seems that the audience has voted and Cooper gains corruption. So I'll get thinking about what path we should give Cooper next week. Maybe I'll put it to a vote next week as to what corruption they should get. I'm thinking Killer Instinct, given what happened. But we'll figure that out when it comes to it. Still, thank you everybody for watching. There's going to be another show on here tomorrow as well. We're going to be playing a trailer in a moment just before we finish. But once again, thank you everybody who's tuned in. You're all amazing. Thank you for tuning in and for watching. Hopefully we'll see you here next week to continue on this story. So until next time, just be careful what bumps in the night. It might be Dracula falling onto a stake. So goodbye for now, everybody.